23-year-old business owner Eddie Patton is suing his neighbors, 16-year-old student Christopher Shumway and his mother Lynette Nair. Eddie says Christopher broke into his house and vandalized it twice.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 284 on the calendar in the matter of Patton versus Shumway Nair. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Young man, have a seat, please.
Mr. Patton, according to your complaint, the defendant and her 16-year-old son owe you for money as a result of the son's burglarizing of your home on several occasions. Their defense is that they do not deny, the young man does not deny that he entered your home illegally, but that on the date that you say the majority of the damage was done, somebody else did it. Right?
I believe so.
Tell me the first time you noticed that someone had been in your home.
I hadn't moved in yet, but I had the house furnished and was about to move in. And I came to the house one evening to bring some linens from my son's bedroom, and I noticed a police car in front of the defendant's house. And I walked into my house and noticed that there was some damage done.
Tell me about the damage.
I saw some pizza in the carpet. I saw the pizza container in the trash can. A Nestle Toll House cookie container or package was completely consumed and in the trash.
Had you brought these things into the house?
Not the pizza. The cookies I had put in the refrigerator, right.
Okay.
A bottle of Gold Slugger was gone, and a half a bottle of vodka. The bed in my bedroom, the linens were all brand new, had all been pulled down and looked like somebody had slept in it. Let me see, 2 towels were missing. My jacuzzi cover was open, and the jacuzzi was running. And I hadn't been there in about a week at this time.
So you had not moved into this home yet? You were in the process of furnishing it?
Correct.
Go ahead.
And I thought, well, I better go outside. There's a police officer outside. I better go out and report this. And before I could get to the police officer, the defendant's younger sister approached me and told me that her brother had shot my windows out with a BB gun. And I hadn't seen that yet. That was on the whole side of the house that faces their house. So then I approached the police officer, and he was there to take the BB gun from the defendant at that time. That's why he was there. And on another case, I guess, I don't know. And he came over to my house, and I talked to him, and they just, talked about arresting him or pressing charges. And the defendant's mother said, if they make restitution, we won't press charges or arrest the defendant. So
the defendant's mother came to you and said that she would make
the same evening, right? The same evening.
Tell me the best that you can recall the extent of the conversation.
Well, the defendant's stepmother or stepfather wanted the son arrested. I guess there's been previous problems, but the mother didn't. She assured me that I'd get the money back for the broken windows and any other damages.
What did he say? Anything?
I've never talked to him. Never have one time.
He was not there?
No, he wasn't.
Did you get an estimate for the windows?
The estimate was $605.
605. What other damage was there?
About a week after I moved into the house had appeared to have been broken into again. And this time, I noticed I came in the house and the computer was on. We had been out of town, and we came back and the computer was on. I went upstairs to my bedroom, and in my headboard of my bedroom, I keep a pistol locked. And that was broken open. And the bullets were missing, but the gun was still there. The spa cover had been torn with a knife. I checked my telephone, and I hit redial on my phone, and the phone number came up to the defendant's house. At that time, I called the police again, and they came out, and it was the same story. They tried to tell me they weren't in the house this time.
Who's they?
The defendant's mother and the stepfather.
Did you ever get the money for the windows?
Well, they had finally told me that they had the money for it and to go ahead and have it fixed. When we came time to collect, that same day, the stepfather and the mother I guess they separated, and there was no money.
Let's have it.
Some of the accusations that Mr. Patton has are true. I admit to that. I made a bad mistake.
How many times did you enter his house illegally?
3.
Give me the dates.
I don't know the dates. I wasn't.
Well, what did you do the first time you went to his house?
The first time, my sister was playing in the backyard, and she threw a ball accidentally into the backyard. She couldn't get it, so I went over there. And the first time, I was just looking in the windows. Second time, I went over the door, sliding glass door was cracked open. I went in.
And what did you do in the house?
The cookie dough, container that was opened, I had that. I ate that.
What about
and
the pizza?
I have, pizza was not me.
Who was it?
I don't know.
Did you ever have anyone else with you in the house?
No, I did not.
Never?
Never.
But you slept in his bed?
No, I did not.
Did you sit in his bed?
No.
What else did you do?
That day, that was it. I just left.
You went into the house a third time.
Yes.
What did you do the third time?
Third time, the towels that he mentioned were missing. I was using those, and I went in his jacuzzi.
And it was just you. What time of the day or evening was this?
It was between 3:30 and 5.
Did you drink any of his alcohol?
No.
Did you ever make a phone call from his home?
No.
How old is your sister?
The one mentioned is 7 now.
You have another sister?
Yes, she's 12.
Did she ever go in with you into the house?
No.
So you did this all on your own?
Yes.
You sure about that?
Yes.
Have you ever been arrested before?
Yes.
For what?
Stealing.
Stealing what?
I can't exactly remember. I was around 12.
Stealing from where?
Walmart.
Now, why don't you tell me about shooting out his windows?
That was out of boredom. It's a mistake I made, and I'm sorry.
When the police were called to your house on the day that Mr. Patton says the police were there, they were there, he indicates, to remove the BB gun.
Yes.
So there must have been a complaint from someone about you with the BB gun.
Before Mr. Patton was there, I had already been caught, and
Caught doing what?
I was, my stepdad found me in the jacuzzi, and I admitted that I did break the windows with the BB gun.
So it was your stepfather who called the police?
I don't know who it was.
Who called the police?
I did.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Eddie Patton says next-door neighbor 16-year-old Christopher Shumway broke into his house and vandalized it. Christopher admits to using the jacuzzi and eating cookie dough, but says that's it.
Mr. Patton says he has not been reimbursed for any of the damage. Why not?
Well, he made that agreement between himself and my estranged husband. And when my husband left, he had already told me that he had given the money to Mr. Patton, which apparently was not so. And so when my husband left, so went the money.
Okay, well, it's not your husband's responsibility. This is not his child. This is your responsibility. Other than the $605 for the windows, Mr. Patton, what other damage did your property suffer?
The cleaning of the carpet for the pizza, and then the spa cover, which is going to have to be replaced. I haven't done yet.
How much was that?
$418
$418.
and 88 cents.
And I beg to differ with these figures,
Why is that?
because when we had the conversation in his kitchen, he said that the spa cover was no big deal. He knew somebody that could repair that. And the quote on the windows was $325.
You have something on the windows for me, sir?
I have a receipt for that, Your Honor.
Can I see it, please?
Construction company. My brother-in-law works for that company, and he did the labor for free for me. So there's no labor charge on that.
He's never presented us with a receipt.
Well, you can take a look at it. He doesn't have to repair a spa cover. He was moving into a brand new house with brand new sheets, everything nice and neat. The invasion of someone's home by somebody, by a burglar, eating, messing up the place. There isn't a question in my mind that your son did all of that. Not a question. He knows it, and I know it. He may have been with somebody else. If he chooses to keep that a secret, that's totally up to him. But it is far too coincidental to think that someone else would come and do pretty much the same thing as your son did. Take a jacuzzi, not steal anything else from the house, and just come in and generally vandalize it. That's his MO. So you're suing for $1,113.79, and I'm awarding you that judgment. Listen, you're 16 years old. You've already had 2 experiences with the law. This one you got away with because, according to you, you committed no less than 2 acts of burglary. Whether you go into a house and eat cookie dough or steal a diamond necklace, the value of what you steal has absolutely nothing to do with the charge. The charge is still burglary, because the definition of burglary is breaking and entering into the dwelling of another with intent to commit a crime therein. And you did commit a crime by taking property that didn't belong to you. And I don't care, it makes no difference to me or the law whether it was cookie dough. So you got away cheap. Now, I don't know what happened to you as a result of your first theft. Probably nothing. Did you go to court on that case when you were 12 years old?
No, I was given counseling and community service.
Probably a big mistake. Maybe if they had sent you to juvenile hall for a couple of days, we might not have been here today. In any event, the judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,113 as requested. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was kind of exciting to move into a place that was brand new, everything new inside, and that kind of changed the outcome of that.
I won't do that again.
Justice served.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hamilton versus Seiler, step forward, please.
24-year-old nursing assistant Sean Hamilton is suing his ex-girlfriend, 21-year-old nursing assistant April Seiler, for destroying his 52-inch television set. April says she caught Sean cheating.
This is Miss Seiler, who has a very bad temper. Mr. Hamilton, you and Miss Seiler were living together for several years. You have a child together.
Yes.
According to your complaint, the defendant became irrationally jealous because she had heard some rumors of you fooling around at work. And one day she came to work, she confronted you, she saw you talking to this woman. When you got home from work, you found that she had destroyed a 52-inch television set. Is that right?
Yep.
So let me hear. That's what he's suing for. When did you destroy his television set? On what date?
July 20th, I think.
And tell me what happened on July 20th.
I went up to work and I've seen
His
him.
work.
Our work.
You work at the same place. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And he was talking to a female and I asked him what was going on and he said that they were just friends. And so I said, well, that's not what I've heard. So I went home and he stayed with...
And that's all that was the whole conversation?
Basically, and he stayed with the girl. And I went
And you said,
home.
that's not what I've heard, and you left?
I said, that's not what I've heard. You guys have been seeing each other. And she said, it's not like that. And he said, we're just friends. And I said, whatever, and I walked away.
Okay.
And then I went home, and I was talking to my mom on the phone. I
You were
was
telling
mad.
your mother what had happened?
Yes, and I was very mad, so I said, oh, and I hate him, and I kicked the TV. And there's like a big hole, and my whole foot like went inside the TV.
So you destroyed the television?
Mm-hmm. And then a couple minutes later, he came home and said he was going to sue me and took the money that was left to get by with for the week and left.
How much did he take?
Maybe $300, $400.
And then whose money was that?
Ours.
When you were living together, you pooled your money?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what happened?
Yes, sir.
You pooled your money. So this $300 or $400, how much was it that you took when you
It was approximately $300. But Your Honor, later on in the week, I did come back and I did give her some money.
How much money did he give you later
No,
on
he
in the week?
didn't. He gave me money before the incident for bills, but he never gave me any money.
Afterwards?
Yeah.
The moral of the story is never fool around with a man's 52-inch television set.
And can I say another thing?
Sure.
This was like 2 weeks before football season, so...
You're not endearing yourself to me, Mr. Hamilton. Go ahead.
He's done this before in the past, and the girl confronted me and said that he had been asking her out, emailing her, he's been calling her on the phone, and I have, it's going to be 2 kids with him.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
The two of you are not married.
No, ma'am.
You're going to have 2 children.
Yes.
Why aren't you married?
Money.
What do you mean money?
Well, I've offered to marry her, just go and get married now, and then, later, we could have our big wedding or whatever, but you'd have to ask her.
Why didn't you get married 2 years ago?
Can't trust him.
You can't trust him enough to marry him, but you trust him enough to have 2 children with him?
Yeah.
Mr. Hamilton, my next question to you is, if the defendant came up to you and you were talking to this woman and she had some concerns about the relationship that you were having with this woman, why didn't you leave with her and go home and say, listen, it's really nothing. She's really just a friend. Stop getting upset.
All right. First of all, we work at a hospital, okay? It's like 95% female, so, for me sitting with this girl, and she wasn't in her right state of mind or something because she came up and she started swinging at me, You know, I couldn't really get anything out, you know, because I'm like covering up, and then she didn't just walk away, she ran away. You know, I'm at work, I can't just leave work.
Did you start swinging as soon as you came up?
No.
No?
No.
Now, you bought this television set in 1998. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Whose money did you use?
It was mine. I had sold some rims. I had these wheels prior, you know, before we even started dating or anything, and I got $1,200 for them, and then I saved up a little bit of cash and bought the TV.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, but he had been working off and on for the last 2-3 years.
I work on and off. I was doing lawn care at the time, and we get, you know, you can only do lawn care in Michigan because it snows 6 months out of the.
So who was supporting the household when you weren't doing lawn work at the time you bought
I would do
television?
odd jobs in the wintertime, like plow snow. And
Were you working full-time?
Mm-hmm.
And she was working full-time?
Yeah. But I would bring it in a sufficient amount of money, you know, enough to pay the bills and everything.
Where are you living now?
I live at my mom's right now.
You have a TV?
No, ma'am, I don't. I don't have nothing from the house.
I have no furniture?
Nothing.
He took the couch.
I had
and
one
sold
couch
it.
that was in the basement that our cats urinated on for 2 years.
Did you move in that house together?
Yes, but her name's on the house.
But you moved into the house together.
Mm-hmm.
Did you furnish it together?
Yeah.
And when he left, you kept all the furniture except for the couch that was in the basement?
He took his computer. And,
I'm talking about furniture.
yes, because now I'm stuck with the house and I can't afford it, so I'm going to have to sell it. And I told him I would give him the stuff, but for now it's me and my daughter, you know.
So you have the furniture.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine. She can have the furniture, and I mean, you know, I want my
He just
daughter.
wants a TV. You see
Yeah.
how important? Because
Well,
football
every time
season.
we got in a fight, she told me, you know, get your TV and get the F out. I mean, I feel the TV's mine.
So you need some money to go out and buy a new TV, right?
That'd be nice.
Well, she had a temper tantrum. So when you have a temper tantrum, you got to pay for a temper tantrum.
And I have pictures of the TV too, Your Honor.
But believe me, sir, I have a husband. I know what a 52-inch TV is. Now, how much is it going to cost you to buy a TV? You paid $1,200 for this one?
I have receipts here.
Can I see it?
Yes, you can.
How much was the television set? So you got a whole lot of other things here.
I paid $15.49 for my TV.
Okay.
And that model's not made anymore, so they compared it to the model that's out now. That's closest to it.
Well, you may have to get a 48-inch television. And I'm not even going to depreciate it because, Miss Seiler, you ended this relationship, or this relationship was ended, and it seems to me that over the 2 years or more that you were living together, you accumulated certain property that you're keeping. All he wants is his TV. You destroyed it. And he paid $1,549 for it, and I'm issuing a judgment for the plaintiff in that amount. That's all.
Parties are excused. You missed that.
29-year-old private nurse Frishta Grande is suing the father of her child, 35-year-old filmmaker Mark Mattson, for stealing the baby's belongings and her clothes.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 83 in the matter of Grande versus Mattson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Grande, you and the defendant lived together for a period of time, and you have a child together.
Right.
And it is your claim that when you separated, Mr. Mattson kept some property that belonged to you and your daughter.
Right.
When did you commence living with Mr. Mattson?
We were apart my whole pregnancy, 3 days before my daughter was born. She was born on the 12th. I moved back in with him.
The 12th of what?
The 12th of February was the day my daughter was born. 3 days prior to that is when I moved in.
12th of February.
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved back in a week before.
Mm-hmm.
And how long did that last?
It lasted 2 months.
And what happened?
Well, he was driving me to work. I get in the car. I notice on the dashboard of his car my child's sock. We used to always keep it in there because we thought it was cute to just have a little, you know, baby sock on the dashboard. This particular day, I found marijuana on the sock, and I got very, very angry, and I said, "Is this the kind of father you want to be?" And he had told me over 5 times since my daughter was born that he was no longer going to use drugs, but that was not the case.
Okay.
So the fight was over that.
And what happened?
He got all mad at me, told me I don't help out around the house, I don't do anything. He ended up calling the police, asking them to watch and escort me out of the house. I had less than 20 minutes to pack my things, and basically everything I was trying to gather up I couldn't even do. I was holding my baby, crying and begging, please don't do this. I had less than 20 minutes. I left.
Okay. And then what happened?
I moved to a friend's house, and I came back like probably 2.5, 3 weeks later to retrieve my belongings, and I noticed.
Where was the baby during that time?
And the baby was with me.
Okay, and you came back to get your property. Had you made an arrangement with him to get your property?
Yes. He said, come and get your things, and I came, and then I noticed everything was gone. All of the stuff that I had laid out, he didn't pack. He told me he would pack my property and my daughter's.
What property?
Clothes, baby bottles.
Whose clothes?
My clothes and my daughter's clothes, everything, all my grooming products. I had to leave with not even my toothbrush because I had less than 20. I left with the clothes on my back.
I would always take my toothbrush if I had 20 minutes. So you must have taken something in 20 minutes. What did you?
I left with my child's diaper bag and clothes for her and a stroller. I didn't even have a car.
So you're talking about personal effects and your daughter's clothes.
And mine.
Well, what clothes of yours? I mean, this is not a very easy thing to do. You can't speculate as to what clothes there are. You say clothes. What clothes?
He stole my sexy clothes probably because he doesn't want me to have them. I had this gown that was the $800 gown. I no longer have that. He stole CDs of mine and my labor and delivery tape, my ultrasound video, things to me that are priceless, that the value of money cannot, replace.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Madsen.
How you doing today?
Don't ask me questions. I ask questions. What happened?
We had a disagreement. It wasn't over what she's saying, but she's got a really volatile.
Just what was it over?
It was about her working.
Well, tell me about it.
She doesn't like to.
And?
She just gets really mad when she has to go do something that pertains to work. And I'd given her a ride to work. She was late. The guy told her to go home because she wore the wrong shoes. After I'd already left, she called me and told me to come back and pick her up. And she was just out of her mind then.
So this argument happened on your way. After you had dropped her off, she called you to come back and pick her up. Does that sound familiar to you?
No, I do work.
Now, just a second.
Okay.
The day of this incident, who were you working for?
I worked for this promotional company called...
Go ahead, Mr. Madsen.
Well, on my first way, I'd like to add, on my first way out after I dropped her off, she'd said, I hope you get in a car crash and die. But...
Well, was that over the marijuana cigarettes?
It was about another fight.
Okay. But did she find the remnants of drugs in the car?
No, she did not.
All right.
And I have a clean drug test here to prove everything.
Okay. What prompted you to take a drug test?
Because she alleged that in our child custody case. So the second she did that, I went and took a test. Did
you take a hair follicle test or a urine test?
A urine and blood.
Okay.
The issue over her clothes, I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Is we together put all of her clothes in this trailer that was on the side of my house, and I gave her permission to retrieve them out of there. I have pictures of her clothes boxed. I have her things hanging up in the trailer. I have pictures of all of her things in boxes that she helped put in there. And I helped her load them into a minivan when she came over to retrieve them.
Did you take those things?
Yes, I did.
Fine. So you took the things that he had put in boxes. Now, things that you're talking about here, my baby's first footprints, the birth certificate, etc. What's the etc.?
All of her clothes.
Okay. Who purchased the clothes?
The clothes, I was the #1 person at the
purchased?
church, my friends, and myself.
Where did you purchase the clothes from if you told me you weren't working?
This was during my pregnancy.
Where were you working during your pregnancy?
I worked at in Associates. It's a promotional company.
Your Honor, the day I loaded her van for her, I videotaped that, and she didn't inventory any of the boxes. And she went directly to the police station from there, just claiming that I had stolen everything, and filed this report from there.
Okay.
And also there was a 9-dresser drawer that we had dedicated just to the baby things. From that, I kept 2 drawers worth of clothes, and I also have partial custody of the child, and I need some clothes for the child.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right, sir. You should absolutely have some of the baby's things.
And to prove her character, here's a ransom note for the child, proving, says, number 1, I want $10,000 before we get back together. Type of person she is. I had to file a restraining order because I'd given her $1,200 over the weekend to fix her car to get the baby around while we were not together, and she was living with somebody else.
Let me see the papers.
On Monday, she called me to tell me she was taking the baby. She got in a fight with her next guy, and she was going to take the baby to Nebraska. So I filed the restraining order to keep the baby here in the States.
And I assume that that was granted, that she is
Yes, it
prohibited
is. Yes.
from removing the child from the jurisdiction without
Yes.
your consent. What?
Actually, that's not what happened. He kidnapped my child from me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Frishta Grande claims the father of her child, Mark Matson, stole her baby's belongings and her clothes.
How can he kidnap his child?
Well, what happened was I told him, if you don't help me find a home after you just left me, I have no choice but to move to Nebraska with my family where they're going to support me. He just kicked me out the week before. Of course, I didn't trust him. I asked him to watch my child for me while I went to a computer class and looked for an apartment. When I came to pick her up, that's when he petitioned for the restraining order and everything. He had her for 4 days. I have right here on his own from a letter from my attorneys stating that he returned my daughter to me. This is when she's 2 months.
So what? You're both parents. You each have equal right to custody until the court says otherwise. He can't kidnap his own child.
He was gone.
Just as you can't kidnap, because you each claim
I
that
told
the
him
other...
I wasn't-
Shh, I'm speaking. He can't kidnap his own child, nor can you kidnap your own child unless there is a prior custody order.
Your Honor, and as far as this case is over, the things that she's missing, if you wanted to call the next guy who lives at the beach that she ran off with, he has a garage full of things. He's called me. He and I have become friends since because she ousted herself from his house. He and I have become friends since then, and
What's
I'm
his
supposed
name? From the defendant's house, did you move into Mr. house?
Yes, I stayed 1 week.
to. He's
Do
requesting.
you have anything at Mr. house?
Yeah, I have baby furniture, and I'm moving into my apartment tomorrow.
Where did you get the baby furniture from?
I got it for $100 at a garage sale.
Okay.
This is a list of receipts that he made a copy of everything he purchased for our daughter. And the total money that he has spent on his daughter is $418. When this person lives in a $500,000 home, has 3 companies.
Is that the home you were living in with him?
Mm-hmm.
Was it comfortable?
Not really. He always has people over.
Just a second. If he's living in a $500,000 home, madam, it must be either a very luxurious 2-room, $500,000 home, or else there was room for the baby's furniture that you bought that is at Mr. house.
He refused to turn the office into a nursery. He wouldn't make room for the baby's room.
Do you have the baby's birth certificate?
No, I do not have that with me.
Okay. Do you have the baby's first footprints?
Yes, I have.
You do. So make a copy of them.
I will.
Make a copy of them. You're
No,
as entitled to that
that's not
as
a
she
problem.
is. What other things does he have that are irreplaceable?
My ultrasound video,
Do
my
you have an
labor and
ultrasound
delivery.
do you have an ultrasound video?
I have found that since then. I've never
Wonderful.
watched it. I don't need it. She can have it. No
Perfect.
problem.
What else?
The labor and delivery video.
The one that I shot on my camera, I will make her a copy of.
Will you do that?
That's no problem.
Will you do that within the next
It's our
couple of
child.
days?
I have no problem with
Would
our.
you do that within the next couple of days? That's easy. Make her
Yes,
a
ma'am.
copy. What else do you want, Miss Grande?
I would like my ring back. There's also this ring that an old boyfriend of mine gave to me.
Yes.
Sapphires and diamonds. I've
How do you
had
know
it
he
for
has
4
it?
years.
Do you know where that ring is?
Your Honor, I've never seen such a ring. And
Fine.
she's
I haven't.
left.
This is the first time I'm hearing about a ring. What's next?
That's it.
Great. Look how lovely this is. We've accomplished making you into an almost happy family. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
God. Said that if I don't give her $10,000, I'll never be a part of the baby's life.
This is her shirt that when she was born, the hospital gave to me. He washed it like it was a fabric softener or something. I mean, this is something I was going to have framed from my daughter to keep forever.
I don't know if you heard the way she talks, but it's our baby, and she keeps saying my baby, so, you know. everything should be shared.
And now the next case.
All parties on Valancourt versus O'Reilly. Step forward, please.
23-year-old preschool teacher Lisa Valancourt is suing 22-year-old bar manager Brendan O'Reilly for her German Shepherd's broken teeth.
Miss Valancourt, this is your dog, I assume.
Yes.
According to your complaint, you dropped your dog off at a friend's house for your dog to play with her dog.
Yes.
And the defendant came in and decided to take both dogs for a walk, correct?
Take them to the dog park.
Or the dog park. Had anyone asked you to take her dog to the dog park?
No, ma'am.
What happened with her dog?
Well, there's a gentleman playing with the tennis racket and the tennis ball that the dog park supplies. He threw the tennis ball up to hit it, and as he threw it and swung, Jack jumped for the ball. So the tennis racket and Jack met the ball at the same time.
So this gentleman hit the dog in
In the mouth.
snout
Yes, ma'am.
with the tennis racket. Well, what happened to the dog after he was hit?
Jack ran over, laid down, and whimpered a little bit. I ran over to Jack, saw what had happened, talked to the gentleman for a minute, and
What do
then
you mean you
left.
talked to him for a minute?
I said that it was unfortunate that it happened, and asked him his name, and that's about it, and I left.
Did you see the dog's mouth?
Yes, ma'am.
The dog was injured?
Yes, it was.
So this lawsuit is about, pay attention, the medical bills that you
Yes.
incurred for the dog.
Yes.
Now, Mr. O'Reilly, you asked the gentleman his name. Did you ask him where he lived?
No, ma'am.
Didn't you feel as if he was responsible for the injury to the dog?
I did, but many times I had hit tennis balls to park myself, and I thought that if a dog had jumped while I was swinging the racket and hit it, that it would simply be an accident. Because those things happen.
And is that what you told the plaintiff when she told you she wanted you to pay the bills?
Yes.
No, he didn't. He said, you better get a lawyer then, because I'm not going to hand you the money.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You treated this all very cavalierly.
Okay, apparently you've never been to a dog park. They run
No,
around,
I've
they
been
jump
to a dog
up.
park, sir. I have had dogs all my life, and I know exactly what it's like.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lisa Valancourt claims former friend Brendan O'Reilly is responsible for her German Shepherd's broken teeth.
How much were your vet bills for Jack?
The total was $1,921, and they are currently broken again.
What did they have to do to his, it was his front teeth that
His
were broken?
two big canine teeth. He does bite work. He's a Schutzhund dog, which is like police dog training, and I train him. That's what I bought him for. And they had to do 2 root canals, and they recapped them or bonded them. It's like a special thing that the doctor does. And one of them broke. He doesn't like his muzzle. And one of them just actually broke 2 weeks ago when we were doing bite work.
Okay, but right now your vet bills is what
Are
you're suing for,
$1,921.
Okay.
Originally, I was asked to pay $900.
Well, it got worse. I assume you have the bills.
I have all of them, yes.
Let me
Can
see,
you bring them up?
please.
Stay right there, man.
They're all circled, the totals.
Now, the initial problem was created by you because you, without anyone asking you to, took her dog.
I'd have to disagree.
Who asked you to take
The
her dog
initial
out?
problem was with her leaving the dog at my house.
No. No. You had other options. If she left the dog at your house, were you living there with your girlfriend at the time?
I was living there.
Okay, so you were living there with your girlfriend.
Yes.
Okay. You weren't complaining that the dog was there because then you could have made a phone call and said, get your dog out of my house. You decided to take her dog out along, I assume, with the other dog that was there.
Yeah.
So you made that decision unilaterally. So between the two of you, if the dog is injured, let's say the dog is injured by, you know, a flying meteor, not by somebody else's negligence, you would be responsible because you placed the dog in a position of being in that particular place and time.
Okay, what if I wasn't there when the dog was left there? I had no say in it.
It doesn't make any difference, Mr. O'Reilly. Your recourse is not to take the dog to the park. Your recourse is to pick up the phone and call her and say, come get your dog. I don't want it here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What I don't understand even further, Mr. O'Reilly, is this man was negligent. If you're going to use a tennis racket to hit balls to a dog, then you have to make sure that the field is clear so that you're not going to hit either another person or a dog. That's your responsibility if you're using a tennis racket, so that you cavalierly walk up to him and say, yeah, you know, it happens.
Okay, apparently you've never been to a dog park. They run
No,
around,
I've
they
been
jump
to a dog
up.
park, sir. I have had dogs all my life, and I know exactly what it's like. But if somebody used a tennis racket, and in using a tennis racket wasn't careful enough so that my dog was injured, I would say not only get his name, but get his address and find out if he had homeowner's insurance that may cover the problem, if there were vet bills. You treated this all very cavalierly. Bottom line, somebody is out $1,921. And if you had the name of the person and the address of the person for her to proceed against,
They already have it.
where did she get the name and address of the person?
As far as I know, her sister tracked the person down and got the name and address and talked to the gentleman.
Why didn't you?
I didn't, simply because if I was in his shoes, I would feel the same. I wouldn't want to be held responsible.
I suggest that since you didn't bother to track down this gentleman initially, that you track him down now, because you have a lawsuit against him for $1,921. You personally, not her. You go get the money from him. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,921. That's all.
All right,
22-year-old Candy Loya is suing her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, 29-year-old homemaker Kimberly White, for keying her car. Kimberly is countersuing for mental anguish.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 51 on the calendar in the matter of Loya versus White. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Ms. Loya, the defendant is your current boyfriend's ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you and Chad have a child together.
Yes.
How old is the child?
She is 4. She'll be 5 on Halloween.
Where is Wonder Boy?
At home.
Why isn't he here? Didn't
know.
want to come.
Right.
It is your claim, Ms. Loya, that the defendant keyed your car, causing extensive damage.
Yes.
It is your claim on your countersuit that the plaintiff keyed your car, and in addition, forced you to confess to keying her car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So let's get to your claim first. Did you witness the defendant keying your car?
No, I did not.
So what proof do you have that she keyed your car?
I have an audio tape that she confessed on.
You have a tape of her confessing?
Right.
I'll hear it.
If you will admit to me that you keyed my car, nothing will happen. I'm just going to have to go get this fixed myself. But I'm telling you, if you admit it, don't ever show your face to me again. You already admitted it. Don't ever show your face to me again.
Okay.
I'm going to put a hand on you. I'm going to press charges on you. Nothing. Just admit it, because you've already admitted it once. Just say okay. Okay. Okay, what? I did it. Why? Because what? My car is keyed. And who did it? I don't know. Exactly. And you think it was me because I'm your baby's daddy's girlfriend, and I don't take you on there right now to show you. My car is keyed. But did she do it? She's telling you I did not do it. Chad told me that you admitted to him on the phone that you did it because I did that to your car. I'll go over there and show you, Candy. And you doesn't prove that she does it. Exactly. She did. I did not do it. I vow on my grandmother's grave that I will never, ever key anybody's car. Okay, well, you was over here the other night, Candy. How many people live in these apartments? Did you see it when you actually walked out to the car, or did you see it the next day? I know when I come over here, my car was not keyed. And you was over here that night. That doesn't mean I did it. You was over here that night. Doesn't mean I did it. And what happened here that night? I was very off at Chad. Yes, you was. And me too, wasn't you? I hate your I know you do. But I would not do that to your car. Well, my car was keyed, and I can take you over there right now and show you my car. I don't deny that your car is keyed. The point is, you didn't have proof that I did it, which I surely did not. And the fact is that my car is ugly now. Oh, my car is too. Why would she waste her time on somebody she hates? Well, yeah. Why would I waste my time on you? So that the same can happen to my car? No. I know how it feels to get my car keyed. This is the second time a brand new car of mine has been terrorized. That's not Chad's car, that's her car. That is my car. You do not take out your animosity towards Chad on me, ever. And when you get out of this car, we will go look at your car for the simple fact that I don't give a But when you go home, I want you to think about, no, leave that light on. When you go home, I want you to think about that you did to my car. When did you do it? Today. Where? I was at my house today. And he saw you do it? No, he didn't see me do it. When did he do it at your house today? Today, he came over to my house. And y'all No, we don't. Then why was there a condom in the trash can? That was because somebody else was over there the other night. What did Chad go over there for today? Chad come over there today. Did you lure him over there so that I did not. My car? No. It was just the perfect opportunity for you. No, Chad come over there today. For what? I didn't ask him to come over there. Okay. He come over there on his own. And it was the perfect opportunity for you to key my car. No. Chad came over there and Chad fell asleep. Okay? Oh, where, in your bed? Yes. He was asleep in my bed. And you know what? It'll be my pleasure to punch you in your mouth. But I'm not gonna lower myself to your standards. What was he doing at your house today? He came over there today because he wanted to come over there. And do what? He wanted to come over there. And he fell asleep, and you went out to my car and you keyed it? I went out there and I got my CDs out of your car. Today? Yes. And he stole my CDs. And you stole my recording tape out of this recorder the other day, didn't you? Or not the other day, it was about a month ago. Yeah, I did. So should I charge you with theft also? If you want to. And I didn't want to. Don't ever come in my house and take anything ever again. I won't. Don't ever come to my house, period. Don't ever come and see. Don't even page Chad. If he wants to see Kayla, he can come and see her with me. With me. He will never go to your house ever again. He will never be in my car alone ever again. I can't trust him, just like I don't trust you. I trust my mother and my family. That's the only people I can trust. You are with Chad, okay? I'm trying to get along with you and Chad. I'm trying to get along. I fed your tonight. I fed your tonight, and you did that to me today. I know that. I hope you throw up. I wish I would have poisoned my food. I wish I would have, just so you would die. Roll over and die. That's how bad I hate you right now. I'm sure you do hate me. But you know what? I hate you too. Because you do things to my child. Oh, I've never touched her. You made my child sleep on the floor. On a pallet. Because you don't want her in the bed with her daddy. Oh, you think that's right for a 4-year-old little girl? Yes, it is. To sleep with her daddy that doesn't ever sleep with clothes on? Huh.
Does anything else on this tape have to do with the keying? Well, then turn it off. The first thing I'm going to tell you is, I would never allow your daughter to sleep over at the plaintiff's home again. Do you understand?
I haven't.
Because a child should not be exposed to the kind of hostility that the plaintiff feels towards you that will rub off on your daughter, and she's an innocent.
Yes, and she's had problems too because
you understand?
of it. Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And they held a knife to me. I was terrified for my life.
She stole this tape out of the car because she didn't want Candy to have evidence.
I don't blame her. I don't blame her!
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Candy Loya is suing her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, Kimberly White, for keying her car.
Let's make this as painless as possible. Without getting into your counterclaim of how this confession was coerced, did you key her car? I'm going to give you an opportunity to just think about the answer before, because you don't want to fall into my mouth if you don't have to. Did you key her car?
No, Your Honor, I didn't.
You had lent him your car?
He dropped me off at work and I guess went to her house straight from dropping me off.
When did you see that the car was keyed?
He picked me up from work and I didn't notice it, but we stopped to pick up an application for him. And when he came back to the car, he acted surprised and said, "Oh my God, your car's been keyed." So I got out and looked and the entire car was keyed.
Now you had your car keyed.
Yes.
When?
Her and Chad had came over to my girlfriend's house where I was at, and they came upstairs. And Chad wanted to stay and visit me and Kayla, and Candy got mad. And she went downstairs and waited on him for a while. And he stayed up there. Well, she got mad, and she came back up there and got him and told him, "Chad, you come on. You're not going to stay over here no more. Come on." And Chad said, "Okay, Kim, I don't want no problems here at your friend's house. I'm going to go ahead and go, and I'll see Kayla tomorrow." I said, "Okay." And they left. I stayed there a couple of hours with my friend. Then after that, I got ready to leave. When I got ready to leave, I went downstairs, and I had to walk in front of my car. I noticed the whole hood of my car was scratched.
And it hadn't been scratched when you left it there?
No, it hadn't.
So now I have 2 keyed cars and no witnesses.
Yeah, but what she was talking about at her friend's house, we didn't actually go over there. We were driving down the highway and she was coming back from the dope house in Dallas. And my boyfriend, or ex-boyfriend, and...
The ex-boyfriend is Chad?
Yeah.
So now he's an ex-boyfriend of yours too?
Well, he's been an ex-boyfriend.
For a while?
Why?
Since when?
For 4 months.
Okay. Tell me about this confession that I just heard.
Okay, Candy and her sister came over. They knocked on the door. Candy was as nice as could be. The sister was hiding down the stairs. She said, "Kim, can I talk to you?" Well, we used to talk about Kayla, my daughter, so I thought maybe she wanted to talk about that. She didn't want her coming over no more or something. So I said, "Okay." Well, we went downstairs, and here pops out her sister. Well, so I stand there and I look at them, and I was like, "What is it?" And she said, "Well, can we talk?" And it was cold. So I said, "Well, let's go down and get in my car." Well, once I got down there, I noticed I didn't have my keys. And she says, "Well, we can sit in my sister's car. It's warm. We just got here." So I said, "Okay." We got in the car. It was a 2-door sports car. I had got in the back seat. They got in the front seat. As soon as we got in the car, they locked the doors. The tape was not fully played, or something's been tampered with, because I was begging them to open the doors. "Please let me out." I was scared for my life. Then you can hear them. They're hollering at me, telling me, "You need to go on and say you did it." Well, before the tape was even played, they told me, "You need to say you did it. You know that whenever Chad was over there that day, you got up and you went down there and you keyed my car." And they held a knife to me. I was terrified for my life. So then...
How did they hold, who held a knife to you?
The sister had the knife and Candy held me down the back seat.
All I want to know is, just listen to my question. Was there a knife in your car?
No. No.
Do you feel, Ms. Loya, that your presence and your sister's presence in the car locked was intimidating with or without a knife?
It was not locked, but no, I didn't have a knife, and I felt no reason to. And about...
I asked you whether you felt as if it was intimidating.
No.
Oh, no? The threats were being made by you two, not by her. Right?
Yeah. That's, well, there's a reason for that.
What's the reason?
She was high. She didn't know...
Then why did you take her in the car?
Because I wanted her to confess on tape that she did that to my car.
You can't do that. You can't do that. That's outrageous. You know what that is? Kidnapping.
Well, the doors weren't locked.
Kidnapping.
Yes, they was.
No, they weren't.
Whether they were locked or not, if it's a 2-door car and she was sitting in the back, she could not get out of the car unless one of you, either you or your sister, got out of the car first to let her out. So it doesn't make any difference whether the doors were locked or unlocked. She was a virtual prisoner in that car. That, Miss Lawyer, is called kidnapping. Do you understand?
Yeah.
What?
Is it kidnapping when she says she will get in the car? I'm sorry.
Here we go.
She agreed to get in the car, and
Yes, she agreed
so
to get
how
in
is
the
that
car.
kidnapping?
Tell me why she agreed to get into the car. Tell me what you said to her.
It was cold outside.
No, tell me what you said to her.
Do you want to go talk in the car so we can sit in the car because it's warm?
Fine. And what was your intention when you went over there?
To get her to confess on the videotape.
Did you tell her that?
She knew that.
Did you tell her that?
No, ma'am.
Do you believe that if you had told her that before she got into the car, she would have gotten into the car?
No, ma'am.
Of course not. So you lured her into the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Now sit down.
Could I say something about a confession?
Sure.
2 days after this happened, Kim paged Candy at work. So Candy called me, and I called her on three-way. And so I asked her, why did you key Candy's car? And I said, why did you key my car? Because car's in my name. She said, I didn't know it was your car.
You have that conversation with her?
No.
Yes, you did.
I did page Candy because
What'd you page her for?
to talk to her about the car, because she went over to my mother's house.
So what'd you call her for?
I just wanted to talk to her about it and tell
What
her.
did you want to tell
I
her?
wanted to tell her to stay away from my mother's house and don't go back over there with the tape. If you want to go to the police, go to the police. That's why I called her with that recorder and told my mother, if you will give me $1,700, I will not take this to the police. And my mother said, I will not do it.
Did you go over
She stole this tape out of the car because she didn't want Candy to have evidence.
I don't blame her. I don't blame her.
Judge Judy continues in a mental anguish.
So Chad is no longer in your life, is
No,
that right?
he's
Perfect.
not. I just talked to Chad the other day. He told me they're still together.
Well, friends. They are not
Friends?
living together. Well, not friends, but
They're more than
acquaintances.
friends. And since all that's happened, I've had to take my daughter to counseling. I've had to see a psychiatrist.
you have a
I
drug
have a
problem?
letter. No, I don't.
Did you?
No, I did not.
You work?
No, I'm not working right now.
Why not?
Because I'm seeing a psychiatrist. I cannot work. They terrified me. I'm scared to go out of my house. I have a letter here from my doctor.
Let me see the letter from your doctor.
Well, it's kind of funny that I picked her up on Christmas Day, and you had no problem doing that. And I picked her up several Saturdays before to
Just
take
a
her to
minute.
visit Chad.
Just a second. You picked her up Christmas Day of 1999?
Yes, and I picked her
Just a second. To go
That
where?
is not true. She hasn't
Go
took
in.
me to see Chad.
To go
Not you,
quiet.
Kayla.
We had the agreement. Candy would come pick Kayla up so Chad could see Kayla, and Candy would bring her back.
Does your doctor have you on any medication?
Yes, he does.
What kind of medication?
I am taking Selexia, and I take a sleeping pill because I cannot sleep, because I'm always terrified thinking that they're over there watching me at my house or something.
Judge Judy will
I'm not satisfied that this confession that I've heard on that tape was taken under the circumstances that it is reliable. You had somebody who was coerced into a car, who was threatened, held in the car against her will, and I am not accepting that confession as proof that you keyed your car, so your complaint is dismissed. With regard to your car being keyed, that's dismissed. You have no proof. Miss Lawyer, I'm not giving you a dime for your damages to your car. If what you and your mother tell me is true and accurate, that this person still is part of your life, you deserve whatever you get. You deserve whatever comes to you. You will be in for nothing but heartache, and you're a young woman, but that's entirely up to you. You know, you play in the mud, you get dirty. You understand? Do you understand? Okay. So when you say to me they're just friends, no, they're just acquaintances,
Well,
get real. Will you please?
I know that they're not living together anymore.
I don't care whether they're
because she
living
lives at
together
home.
or not. That doesn't mean they're not sleeping together if they're not living together, right? She'll wind up one day on that side of the fence. You have a primary responsibility, Miss White. Your primary responsibility is to take care of your daughter. You pick this guy to father your child. You are in all probability stuck with him at least for the foreseeable future. He's going to be in your life. I strongly suggest that you don't take that out on anybody else. He's not worth it. And the worm isn't even here. Your cases are dismissed, that's all.
Bodies are
39-year-old land estimator Chizoma Oyams and his wife Akimi are suing 49-year-old schoolteacher Linda Yant for the return of their Chihuahua, Precious.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 119 on the calendar in the matter of Williams versus Stowers Yount. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Bird, would you take the puppy on a leash and hold it over there with you, please? Friendly puppy?
Oh, very friendly.
Great.
Better be.
Better be, huh?
You know I don't like dogs, Judge.
Right?
Because they said that my son would hold him.
Oh, sweet. Yes, he does. He really does. He really likes dogs. You can put him down. You can put him down. Great. Okay. Now, I don't think this is a very difficult case. The jingles could come off, maybe.
If you take those off, she won't have a collar on.
Well, she's not going any place in court. All right. Mr. and Mrs. Oyams, according to you, you had a dog, a Chihuahua. And how long did you have this dog?
We had her for about 4 months.
And somehow the dog got lost around Christmas time.
Right.
Tell me how the dog got lost.
Well, I guess she had went out in the backyard, and then she came up missing. And what we had figured, we were putting a pool in our backyard at the time, so there were a lot of different contractors coming and going.
And, Miss Yount, you found the dog.
Yes, I was with my son Darren. We were up hiking in Cucamonga Canyon, which is 2.5 miles away from where the Onyams live. And we found her at the end of a dirt road at the trailhead to the trail that goes up into Cucamonga Canyon.
When did you find her?
On December 28th. And might I say that when the Onyams talked to me and when the police were at my house, the next morning they came back and said they found their Petco receipt and they had lost their dog on the day of this Petco receipt, and it was November 12th.
Is that what you said?
I told her that I had lost the dog after I had taken her to get her groomed by the Petco.
Who are these two people?
This is my daughter Tania, and this is her schoolmate Karina.
Okay. Would you step up with your mom? Now tell me your name again.
Tanea.
Tanea. Is this your dog?
Yes.
How far do you live from each other? Or how far did they live from where you found the dog?
Probably about 7 long blocks or so.
No. So not far.
No.
So when they came to your house, I assume somebody saw the dog with them. How did that happen?
I was walking my son to the school bus stop, and Karina saw me with Chalupa.
Don't tell me what anybody saw.
Okay, I saw Karina with.
You may have seen her.
Yes, I saw her, and we spoke. She said, "Oh, where did you get the cute dog?" And I said, "We found her. We're looking for her owner." And so that was like a week after we had found her. So I was walking Darren to the bus stop again, and by then we had had her for almost 3 months. And Karina came out of her house, and she said, "Oh, cute dog, where did you get it?" And I said, "We found her," hoping that she would remember that that's what I had said before in January. Well, that afternoon was when the Onyams called my son, and he showed him our dog.
Okay, but it's their dog.
I don't think so.
Sure it is. Look, a Chihuahua is not one of those real common breeds of dogs. 7 blocks away from where you found your dog, they lost their dog.
No, we did not find her there. We found her 2.5 miles away when we were hiking.
Oh, okay.
She was 2.5 miles away.
2.5 miles away.
At the end of a dirt road.
So what? Do you see any reason whatsoever that these people would come, look at this dog, and if it wasn't their dog, say to you, "That's our dog"? I mean, I have a dog. I can tell my dog.
Excuse me. Can I say something?
Is this their dog?
Yeah.
Here.
Hi, Precious.
Here's your dog.
Hi, Precious. Precious.
Okay.
Excuse me, but there are lots of Chihuahuas. I've taken her to the vet. They said their dog had a broken tooth.
No.
I have from my vet a report. He said this dog has no broken tooth.
Miss Yount,
by the time
they lost their puppy when their puppy was 4 months old. Dogs lose their teeth when they're about 5, 6 months old, and then they get new teeth. I mean, I don't understand you. You found the dog not far from, if it's 2 miles, it's 2 miles. If it's 7 blocks, it's 7 blocks.
In the foothills where there are bobcats, coyotes, hawks, owls that eat dogs, there are more than one female Chihuahua in
Have
this
you found
neighborhood.
anyone else in your area who had lost a female Chihuahua?
My vet says
Now,
that.
don't tell
No,
me what
not
your
like-
vet says, Miss Young. Did you find anyone else who claimed to have lost a female Chihuahua in your
No,
general
I
vicinity?
drove. For 3 months, I was driving
So
around
the
looking
answer
for
is
signs
no.
before I decided to have the dog spayed. When I went to have
Just
her
a second.
licensed, they
Hey,
said I
you're not,
had to
you're
pay
not
a
paying
penalty.
attention. You just keep talking.
Well,
You
this
just
is my
keep-
dog. I've
No,
had
it's
her
not
for
your
6
dog.
months.
No, it's not your dog. You found the dog that was lost by someone. You didn't buy the dog. I assume you notified the police at the time you found the dog.
No, I did not.
Why don't you let your daughter take the dog outside so she's not growling?
The thing is,
Why
they have
didn't
not
you-
shown me any
no,
proof
just
at
a
all.
minute. I'm asking you a question.
Take her outside.
The first thing that I might do if I found a pedigree animal was to notify my local police department. I wouldn't just drive around the neighborhood and look for signs.
Why would they say, when they first called and left a message on my answering machine, they said that this was a male, they lost their male Chihuahua? That's what I'd like to know, too. They said they lost a male Chihuahua.
Who called her?
Your Honor, I did.
Yes?
I have a
When-
tape of it.
Oh, let me see. Let me hear the tape.
Do I play it right here, or?
Right in the microphone.
We were informed that you have a dog, a Chihuahua dog, male. That is our dog. Can you give us a call so that we can come down and pick this dog up? Phone number is 483.
Did you say to her that your dog was a male dog? I mean, I clearly heard you say male dog.
Yes, Your Honor, it was a slip of tongue.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you ever take your dog to have your dog groomed?
Yes. I took it to Petco.
Do they keep a record of your
They
dogs?
do.
Can I see? I would like to see whether they listed the dog as a male or a female.
Plus, I also have, that when I took her to get her shots.
I'd like to see that, please.
Judge Judy continues. Williams and his wife, Akimi, say Linda Yount won't return their pet Chihuahua.
Miss Yount, have you seen this?
Yes, I have it right here.
Okay.
And this said that they still had not had a rabies inoculation on the dog.
Stop telling me about rabies. I'm talking about identification.
And this says that the dog was 8 months old. So somewhere this dog gained 2 months. I mean,
listen to me. He doesn't know the difference between male and female. I'm supposed to worry about 2 months? Clearly, the dog that they took to the animal hospital, the dog they took to be groomed, was a female Chihuahua, not male. The dog is to be returned to the plaintiffs. That's it.
Sure thing. Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think that wasn't their dog, because we found her in a canyon. There's wolves, coyotes.
They're right down the street. He can always come by and see the dog.
And now the next case.
All parties on Jones versus Shivers. Step forward, please.
31-year-old hairdresser Chad Jones is suing former roommate 30-year-old sales rep Laura Shivers for assaulting him and breaking their lease. Laura is countersuing for attorney fees.
According to what I've read here, you claim that the defendant moved out after an argument, and you are suing her for a month and a half's worth of rent.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Shivers, you, on the other hand, claim that you moved out because he became violent.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you had no choice but to leave. In addition, you are counterclaiming for a variety of things, some bills that you say you had, some other expenses, and that he filed for an order of protection against you.
Yes, Your Honor.
You were forced to hire an attorney, and that case was subsequently dismissed. When was the last month that you paid rent?
I paid rent for the month of March, and I believe the altercation took place around the 9th or 10th, so I paid for a full month and then
It
left.
was on March 8th, Your Honor.
8th.
Okay, you had fully paid March's rent.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, now let's hear about this argument.
Okay, the argument was over marijuana, Your Honor.
Okay.
She had come in and she asked me if I wanted any more marijuana, and I said, sure, but I don't want what I had the last time, which was, you know, if you're don't know anything about marijuana, it was sticks and seeds and shake. And I told her, that I didn't want any. I didn't want sticks and seeds and shake the next time around. Well, she went into her bedroom and thought about it for a minute, I guess, and came back into my room and said, you know, that really upset me, what you said. And I said, upset you? I was just...
According to you, she felt as if you had dissed her because there was other stuff in the marijuana.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So anyways, I was sitting on the edge of my bed smoking a cigarette, and she started flailing her arms around.
A regular cigarette?
Yes, a regular cigarette.
Yes.
But she had started flailing her arms around at the end of my bed like a baboon. And so I got on the end of my bed and started flailing my arms around like a baboon. And at that point, it became physical, where Miss Shivers actually pushed me back on the bed and threw the cordless phone at me. And so I grabbed her by the head and said, get out of my room, and pushed her out of my room into the living room, where she hit a rug and did a pirouette and landed on the floor. She comes back in and she starts pounding on my chest and arms.
Comes back in where?
Into my bedroom.
So you went back into your bedroom?
Yes. I never actually had left my bedroom. I pushed her just far enough to get her out of my bedroom. And after that, she starts screaming, I'm moving out, and called the cops. And I told her, if the cops are coming, you make sure to tell them who started the argument. And she called the 911 back and told them not to come.
Okay, and she moved out the next day?
Actually, yes, she did.
Okay. All right, Ms. Shivers, let's hear your version.
Okay. I returned home from work. I actually worked late on that evening. I got off at 8. We proceeded to get into a fight about, he said I was a 500-pound sloppy well, and then I did not.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
See how quiet she was?
I'm sorry.
Okay, where did this discussion take place?
He was in his bedroom smoking. We started arguing.
Where were you?
The bedroom door that he has actually is flush with the living room. We were standing right in their living room, bedroom area. And it escalated, of course. He called part of my anatomy stunk, and he didn't know how he could ever live with someone as big and fat and horrible as I am. And I had the cordless phone in my hand, and I pointed it at his face. He then stood up on his bed, towering as he is over me on his bed. He jumped off his bed, and with both of his palms square on my right and left shoulder, pushed me, which I have pictures of the injuries as well, if you need those. And I fell on the hardwood floor on my elbow and then down on my wrist.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Shh, just a minute.
Then after the altercation, when I got home from work, I packed an overnight bag, enough clothes to get me through the rest of the work week at my job, and went to my grandparents.
Okay. Now, you stayed in the apartment yourself the month of March. March had been all paid for.
Yes.
What did you do in April?
I stayed there, and I also tried to find a roommate.
Yes. Were you successful?
No, I was not.
Okay. When did you finally vacate the apartment?
After the first week in May. I stayed 1 week in May.
All right. But you had 7 weeks to find a new apartment after she moved out through April.
Yes, ma'am, but I was worried about breaking my lease.
Well, you did break the lease anyway.
Yes.
Okay. And the landlord permitted you to break the lease?
Yes.
Well, that's
I
great.
actually talked to him that morning. The next morning I called our landlord.
From what I gather, and I'm not making any excuses for either one of you, it seems to me like you both behaved badly that day.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There's been some abuse in his past, and I just didn't feel safe there.
Miss Shivers has also attacked me before, too.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chad Jones says former roommate Laura Shivers assaulted him and broke their lease. Laura claims Chad was the one who was violent.
Okay. I don't find that Mr. Jones was the aggressor, Miss Shivers, because you were in his room. And if you were in fear of him, as you say, towering over you, all you had to do was walk into the living room.
Right.
Even if I don't believe him, that you threw the phone at him and that you pushed him down on the bed, you had no business being in his room. So I find that you really didn't have cause to excuse you for at least part of the rent. I think that it was probably a very wise decision for you to leave, or for you to have left. You chose to leave, but there has to be some responsibility with regard to the rent. Now, you both paid the month of March, so we're really only talking here, Mr. Jones, about the month of April.
Yes,
and the issue then, no, May you should have been out already.
Okay.
So that's on your side. Let's get to her side. The primary thrust of your counterclaim is attorney's fees, is that right?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Because that's the only thing that you really talk about, and particularly you talk about some other bills, but
Yes,
it's all very nebulous.
Everything was in my name, so, and I paid all the bills. He never gave me any money for
No,
it.
ma'am. I have my check that went through her bank account that was used for rent for May or March, and there is $90 left on my check that was supposed to be paid for bills.
Actually, our cable bill is $201.
Yeah.
And everything
Did you pay
was,
that?
Actually, I've paid off the energy bill, which was in my name, which was $125.08.
Go ahead.
The Comcast bill with the cable company, I've actually talked to them. They're waiting for the court case to be decided, and then, of course, I'll pay it with...
Okay, do you doubt that she paid off those two bills primarily, the 125 and the 201 for cable?
No, ma'am, I don't.
You didn't pay them?
Well, I had $90 from my check that was supposed to pay some bill.
Fine, so you'd have an additional $90 to defray the cost of some of those bills. Let's get to the counterclaim. According to what I've read, Ms. Shivers, you originally tried to get an order of protection against him.
Yes, Your Honor. I went down the next morning to the prosecuting attorney's office when
Stop playing with paper.
I went down the next morning to file an order of protection on Mr. Jones.
Why?
There's been some abuse in his past, and I just didn't feel safe there.
Ms. Shivers has also attacked me before, too.
Just a second.
I mean,
You had not had any trouble with him before?
No, he moved in with me because he hit his stepfather and moved in with me.
But you had never had any trouble with him before?
Yes, we had. We had a problem. I went with his family to Florida, and there was raised voices and pushing at that point. So
But after that, you moved in with him?
Very stupid. Yes, I did.
Well, look, Ms. Shivers, you moved into a house with him, and from the time you moved into the house until this incident, there was never a problem, and clearly
Yes,
you were
ma'am,
not
I was.
intimidated by him because you were in his space in a sort of threatening manner. So I don't quite frankly see the need for an order of protection if you were out of the house at that point.
That's what they told me. The officer...
That's what they told you.
Right. They said, I agree with you, and they then, sent a letter to him.
They sent a
and-
letter to him. Let me see the
Your
copy of the
Honor.
letter. Shh. Just a second.
They also told me everything was in my name, the electric and the phone, and they told me
Don't
not...
tell me what else they told you.
Okay.
Okay. Now, so Mr. Jones, you get this letter. So you went and filed for an order of protection against her.
No, ma'am, I'd already done that. I did that on the 13th of March because she kept calling to my job and harassing me and kept coming over to the house with police officers asking when my schedule was. She needed to know it so she could da-da-da-da-da and do all of
Whatever.
this.
So that you went down and filed for an order of protection against her.
Yes.
And what happened with your case?
I went down there to see how I could have it dismissed because I'd obviously gotten accomplished what I wanted accomplished. She stopped calling me at work. She stopped harassing me. And they said you can either come down and ask for the case to be dismissed or not show. One or the other.
So you chose not to show up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you hired an attorney for $350?
Yes, ma'am, and I have that here. If you need
I
that.
believe you.
Okay.
But, Ms. Shivers, you don't have a counterclaim against him. Clearly, you went first to file for an order of protection. He's got this letter, which is now on file, which is like a little, not a major sword, but sort of a little toothpick hanging over his head, that if he does anything else that you complain about, he could be arrested. So he went and filed one against you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
All right. According to my very intricate calculations, Ms. Shivers, you owe him $242 for your portion of 1 month's rent and the bills the remaining bills, having been deducted from that, is $242. So I am entering a judgment for the plaintiff, and I believe that he was perfectly within his rights to file for an order of protection against you, since you did first. Have a good day.
Thank you.
29-year-old machinist Daniel McMahon is suing his former live-in girlfriend, 34-year-old store manager Michelle McCartney, for half the deposit on an apartment and the return of his furniture. Michelle is countersuing for Daniel's share of their living expenses.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 206 on the calendar in the matter of McMahon versus McCarthy. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have seats, please.
Mr. McMahon, according to the complaint that I read, you and the defendant leased an apartment to live together. When you moved into the apartment, you put down half the security deposit. You also purchased some old furniture together. When you separated, you did not receive your security deposit back, nor the value of half the furniture that you purchased. That's what you want.
That's
right?
correct, Your Honor.
The defendant says this is pretty much a joke because you really owe her money and she has a counterclaim.
Mm-hmm.
When did you lease this apartment?
I believe it was in July of '98, June or July.
And how long did you live together?
On and off for probably a year and a half.
When did you finally separate?
About probably 5 months ago, permanently.
And how long did you actually live in the apartment?
I actually lived in the apartment full-time for approximately 2 months before I got thrown out the first time.
And then you moved back?
And then I moved back.
Well, so let's have all the months together that you actually lived there.
Probably 4 months straight. On and off for probably a year and a half.
And how much was your security deposit that you put down?
$150.
Now, tell me about this furniture that you purchased together.
First, we bought a washer and dryer. I paid $75. She paid $75.
Okay. What's next?
The next is the furniture, which her aunt was selling, and again, we each paid $75 for the furniture.
We did not.
You'll have your
That's
chance.
wrong, Your
You'll have
Honor.
your chance. So that is $275 and $150, $425. How did you pay your half of the rent, which comes to her counterclaim?
With check, with a check.
With checks?
I wrote my checks out to her.
Let me see them.
I don't have them. She packed all my stuff up.
He packed it all himself.
Mr. McMahon.
That's not true.
See, the problem is, she says that you lived together a total of 6 months. You say 4 months. The defendant says that you only paid rent for 2 of those months.
That is correct. But the only reason I paid for the first 2 months because I lived there full time. She threw me out. I had to go move into a whole nother place. And we were broken up. We started seeing each other again, and I had a separate residence.
But then you moved back in, even according to you.
Right, okay.
Sir, listen to me. Then you moved back in, at least according to you, for another 2 months on an apartment where you had a lease.
Right.
And you did not pay rent for those 2 months.
Yes, I did.
No, we didn't.
No, you just told me you didn't pay rent for those 2 months. You said you only paid rent for 2 months.
I wasn't living there full time. I was only spending 2 nights out of the week there. I already moved out into a whole nother place.
No, Mr. McMahon, now you're making that up as you're going
I am
along. You
not,
just said
Your
to me,
Honor.
you
Oh, I'm
said to
nervous.
me a moment ago, of the year and a half that you were together, you lived there 4 months, but you only paid rent for 2 months out of the 4.
No, while I was there, if I stayed there for a full month, I would pay for half of that month. If I only spent
That's
a
not
couple...
what you just told me.
Well, excuse me, Your Honor. I'm a little confused. It was...
Well, let's not get confused, sir.
But I went and got a separate residence, and then we started dating again. I would spend the weekend over there and then go back during the week to my own residence.
He never got his own residence until after the second time I threw him out. He lived with his father after the first time.
Okay, let's talk about the expenses that you say he owes you, Miss McCarthy. Let me hear.
Well, Your Honor, most of what he has said was correct. He was there May and June. I found he was cheating on me, and I threw him out. We reconciled, and he moved back in October, and he was there October, November, and December, and it was shortly after Christmas, 1998, or maybe even after the first of the year, where I threw him out for the second time. He was coming up with all these excuses why he couldn't help me out with the rent, and never paid anything. The day I threw him out, I went to do some laundry, and he had a bad habit of keeping his, papers in his pants. I would check his pockets for papers, and I found a receipt for some car stereo equipment that he purchased the day before. And that's when all heck broke loose, and I threw him out.
Why?
Because he kept claiming that he had no money to help me out. You know, he was getting speeding tickets, he was paying for the speeding tickets, he bought $1,000 rims for this Mustang that he owned. The heat would be up to 80 degrees, and he wasn't even there.
All right, so now, I got it.
I was on the lease, though. I'm entitled to turn my own heat up.
Just a second.
But he wasn't paying for it, Your
I got
Honor.
it.
not
I
true.
understand the whole scenario. Now, my next question to both of you is clearly, according to you, October, November, and December of 1998 is when you, in December is when you threw him out ultimately?
Yeah, it was a little after Christmas, maybe even after the first of the year.
Okay, and did he ever move back in?
No.
Why haven't you sued him for the amounts that you claim he owes you?
Well, initially, Your Honor, we got back together around Valentine's Day in 1999.
So you were back together?
Yes, we did. We never moved. He never moved back in. I still live there today.
But in February of 1999, you sort of got back together. How?
He invited me to dinner, bought me a couple dozen roses, and schmoozed his way back in like he always did.
All right. And how long did that schmoozing last?
On and off for about a year. We had a verbal agreement in between all this because he was upset about the furniture. He threatened to cut it up if he had to. in order for him to get his half of it. And once we did get back together, we made a verbal agreement that I was to keep the furniture in my apartment because he hadn't helped me for those 3 months. And that was well and good for us.
Made that agreement.
And all of a sudden I get this lawsuit, and so I said, well, the heck with it. I'm going to just get my money that he owes me.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear. So you were prepared to say, forget it.
Yes, I was.
On. Now, Mr. McMahon, I'm going to ask you the same question, sir. What took you so long to file this lawsuit?
We got engaged.
Yes.
She wanted me to move back in. I said, no, not until some issues are resolved.
And when did that engagement terminate?
On my birthday.
What date?
January 30th. I wasn't just going to jump into a lawsuit until I had some time to deal with what I was
You should have jumped into the lawsuit a year and a half ago.
Well, yeah, you're right. You're right.
You're absolutely right. If you believe that she honestly owed you this money, half of a washer and dryer for $75 and a lot of furniture for $75.
It's not the money. It's got nothing to do with the money.
So what does it have to do with it?
Your Honor, we had a 3-bedroom apartment. Out of all 3, each bedroom had a closet. I had a quarter of one closet in the master bedroom.
So does my husband.
And I had two,
let me tell you, he's a happy man.
And I had 2 drawers. I had 2 drawers. I couldn't even put my clothes in there.
He has 2 drawers. Men are lucky if they have a quarter of a closet. They have 1 drawer.
And another thing.
Women need more drawers.
And another thing.
And more closet space.
Judge Judy continues and says ex-girlfriend Michelle McCartney won't return his furniture or his share of the deposit on their apartment.
Have you ever been married?
No.
That's a very good lesson I'm going to teach you. Don't expect more than a quarter of a closet. Right? If you expect more, never get married.
Okay, and another thing, January 30th, which was my birthday, which was one of the last big
more than
fights.
A quarter of a closet?
A quarter of a closet's ridiculous.
I've been married for 13 years.
Yeah.
I don't even have a quarter of a closet.
The whole apartment had her family all over the wall. I couldn't put any. I had no entity in there at all.
You mean you couldn't have a picture of your mother or your grandmother up?
The walls were full. I couldn't do nothing.
Mr. McMahon.
I'm serious. She took over the whole apartment.
Mr. McMahon.
I had no rights and nothing.
That's what ladies do. They make a nest.
We need. There should be a little bit of compromise.
Let me explain something to you.
Not.
That's what happens. They make a nest. Right?
What about me?
My husband knows he can decorate anything in his quarter of the closet.
I didn't get nothing.
Period.
I had to step over.
Don't move a lamp.
I had to step over shoes to get to my quarter of the closet.
Get over
her
it.
shoes.
Listen to me. Your lawsuit, Mr. McMahon, is nonsense. And so is your counterclaim. Nonsense. 2.5 years ago, you started a relationship. You moved into an apartment together. It didn't work out. Your entire investment was at most $425, which includes $150 for some old furniture and an old washer and dryer. How many times did you use the washer and dryer? I want you to think very carefully. How many times did you take clothes, like sheets and towels, from the bathroom and from the beds, take them, put them in the washing machine, wait till it was finished, take it out, put it in the dryer, and fold it up? How many times did you do that?
Plenty of times. If I wasn't being thrown out that week, I was doing laundry.
If you weren't being thrown, you were doing laundry?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I used to do her work clothes for her. Everything else.
He was doing the laundry?
Some.
He was doing
few and far between. I was mostly doing all of our laundry. But yes, it was used for his clothes, which he had.
I didn't ask you it was used for his clothes. I'm talking about sheets and towels and stripping the beds. And
oh, I did all that. I could hardly even get him to make the bed, never mind strip it.
I'm talking about stripping the beds and putting the sheets in and putting the sheets back on the bed. Who did that?
I did all that.
You did that?
Yeah.
Well, you were honest about the other thing. He did do his own work clothes. Who did the cleaning in the apartment?
I did everything. I did everything, Your Honor.
Like what? I mean, who scrubbed the bathroom floor? Who scrubbed the kitchen floor?
I did. I wouldn't even let him do the dishes because he would do them in a half-mannered way and they would be all greasy, so I'd have to redo them anyway. That was his lame excuse for not being able to do anything because he didn't know how.
It's called learned helplessness. You do it wrong so nobody asks you to do it again.
Mr.
McMahon, is it accurate that the housework was done by the defendant?
You know what? I didn't spend enough time in that apartment to clean anything. If you want the real deal.
You spent some time there, sir. According to you, you spent a couple of months there straight. And in addition to the couple of months there straight, 2 or 3 days a week when you were going to your own place. So you were there long enough to dirty the kitchen, dirty the bathroom, dirty the tub, dirty all those things.
If I dirtied something, I cleaned it.
That's that. I've heard that before. Mr. McMahon, your lawsuit is nonsense, and so is your counterclaim. They're both dismissed. Get over it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
One of us was obligated to continue paying that lease, and I did, and I have been paying it ever since. He paid 2 months, and he was on a lease for a
He
year.
wanted me
So.
to pay it while I was living in
Oh, well.
I didn't get treated fair in the relationship from Jump Street, and you know, I got taken advantage of.
And now the next case.
All parties on Sias versus Graham. Step forward, please.
55-year-old Asian arts instructor Ted Sias is suing 19-year-old carpet installer William Graham for assaulting him while riding his bike.
According to your complaint, Mr. Sias, you were riding your bike to work. What kind of work do you do?
I teach internal health arts in Huntington Beach.
In a school?
Yes, ma'am.
And a car that was being driven by one of these two young men
Mr. Graham.
somehow passed by you, and he shouted something out the window, which made you angry.
It startled me. It scared
Startled
me.
you.
Yes.
So you got angry.
Yes.
And what you did in response was to ride your bike on an overpass where you were, and when you saw his car passing under the underpass, you picked up a rock and threw it at his car.
Yes, ma'am, but it was actually a pebble, and I brought the approximate size that I dropped.
Pebble, rock, you threw a something at his car.
Yes.
That made Mr. Graham very angry, right?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And you got off the expressway to find him,
Yes, ma'am.
because you saw him do it.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a confrontation. And that's what this lawsuit is about, because you said that during the course of that confrontation, Mr. Graham injured you and broke your bike.
Yes.
So let's start out. You're pedaling along, going to work. His car comes alongside you, and what does he say to you?
It wasn't him. It was his passenger that screamed at me.
What did his passenger say?
I don't know. It was just a holler, a very loud holler. I wasn't.
Which startled you.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what did you do?
Well, I about fell off my bike. Then I picked up this little pebble, and I was thinking about dropping it. And when they pulled around, then he gave me the birdie. That was it. That's all it took to send me the rest of the way. So I did drop it. I wasn't dropping the pebble to cause damage. I was dropping the pebble as more of an act of, you do this to me, I do this to you, but I wasn't striving for revenge. I lost my head.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything to you, sir, that involved any physical touching.
I think
His
it's
passenger
Yes, ma'am.
said something to startle you.
I think it's an accumulation of years of riding and getting people throwing things at me and hollering at me. I guess that one time I've been tired. I was riding my bike for 12 miles that day. I just lost it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You see the passenger?
Yes, he was, ma'am.
Did you do that? Hold up! Right there.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ted Sias says William Graham assaulted him while out riding his bike. William claims Ted threw a rock at his car.
What was the first thing that was said?
I asked him, ma'am, I said, why did you throw a rock in my car? He then got off his bike, and he says, well, you know, you screamed at me. And I'm like, who screamed at you?
Well,
you know,
it's clear he didn't scream at you. Just a minute. He didn't scream at you.
Yes, ma'am, he did.
Somebody else did. Go ahead.
It could have been possible that we had been goofing around, laughing, whatever, you know, the case may be in the car, what you do with
Whatever, somebody in your car
Yeah.
scooped him, right?
That must have happened somehow. It wasn't intentional.
Was he the passenger?
Yes, he was, ma'am.
Did you do that? Hold up! Right there. Right where the finger is. Did you do that to the bike rider?
I was...
No, look at me.
I'm sorry. I was singing in the car, yelling, having a good time, not yelling at anyone out of the car, I mean, intentionally.
Did you realize you had startled him?
No.
Now sit down. Go ahead.
Okay, so then he pushes me once. I push his hand down. I say, don't touch me again. He pushes me again, push his hand down, and after I push his hand down the second time, he shove-kicked me to my groin area. And I didn't do anything. Then I was going to call the cops. He got on his bike like he was going to leave. And I said, where are you going? And he said, oh, I'm leaving now, like that. And he's like, you're wasting my time. I said, yeah, thanks a lot. I just got my car painted. I just got my car painted, and he dropped a rock and chipped on the roof of my car. And he says, well, now it just gives you something to do, doesn't it? He gets back off his bike, pushes me one more time. I push his hand down again, and then he kicked me harder in the same exact area, the same type of kick in the groin. And at that time, I grabbed his leg. He went to swing at me, and I hit him in the head, and then I hit him a couple more times. He fell over his bike, which was right behind him. Once he was on the ground, I held him down. This is all in a position where I had a broken collarbone at the time because I was in an accident maybe a month before at the most, and I had a cast on my hand from torn ligaments. So I was really in no position to be starting a fight.
What kind of accident? Car accident?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Sayers, you want to tell me your version of the events, sir?
Basically, he's saying something to the effect of, you're going to pay for it, you're going to pay for it, or you're going to apologize. I can't remember which one or both. And he kept trying to get closer to me, and I kept telling him to stay away. I said it numerous times. I did what's called a push kick towards his groin. It was not meant to cause any pain. He says, what was that?
But you did do that.
I did do that, yes, I did.
And he hadn't put his hands on you yet.
He was kept getting...
No. He had not put his hands on you.
No, ma'am, not yet. I did what I could, which was non-lethal. I pushed towards his face to make him lean back to go away. I pushed towards his groin.
He didn't kill you either, Mr. Sayers. That's not lethal.
If you look at the picture, you'll see it's probably lethal. My face doesn't look too pretty. I've probably got a birthmark that'll last me the rest of my life. You want to...
Sure, I'll take a look.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's not lethal. Nasty, but not lethal.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You don't say anything in your complaint, Mr. Sayers, about your putting your hands on the defendant first. He's a young man, and very often people say, well, young kids, you know, they're going to lose their temper and they're going to get out of control. I think that it happens with men when they reach maybe age 50. You're not 50 yet, are you?
Nowhere near.
I know, they do have as sometimes what you describe as road rage. You went to the top of an overpass, you picked up a pebble. You say it was a very small pebble. It may have been, but certainly enough. If that falls on your car fast enough and shatters a windshield, that can cause you to lose control of the car, and it can cause you to go into a tree, another car, another person. It can cause very serious damage, injury, and can cause death. And then when he confronted you, when he stopped the car, which was his absolute right because he had done nothing to you, his partner over here maybe was singing too loud. Maybe he was trying to frighten you. Maybe he was acting like a jerk, which is possible, because I'm looking at him, and it's possible. But he didn't do anything to you. When he confronted you, instead of apologizing, you put your hands on him first, twice. And it looks to me, at the end of the day, you got the worst of it.
Obviously.
That's too bad. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may...
23-year-old student Denise Eccles is suing her former best friend, 23-year-old office manager Victoria Oakley, for her share of a trip to Jamaica.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 143 on the calendar in the matter of Eccles versus Oakley.
Thanks, Bert.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
You gals were best friends for a long time, according to what I've read in your paper, since you were practically children. And, Miss Eccles, there came a time when you wanted to go on vacation. You wanted to go together. You didn't have any money at the time. You put the entire vacation on your credit card. You claimed with the understanding that the defendant would reimburse you. You went on the vacation. She didn't pay.
Right.
Okay. When was this vacation planned?
Around April of last year, maybe a month before.
And where were you going?
To Jamaica, the West Indies.
For a week?
Which she suggested to go.
And how did it come about that you decided to go?
Well, we had a little breakup at the time. You know, me and her usually break up every 6 months or so. And I don't know, we were driving, we obviously made up driving on Queens Boulevard. She said, let's go to Card and Travel, charge a trip, come on, you're starting an NYU, I'm going to work, blah, blah, blah. I said, all right, no problem. Put it on my credit card because I know you're not working, not a problem. And went right in, she gave me $50 towards the trip. I charged $2,300, she gave me $50, and agreed to pay me back, verbally.
Tell me about the conversation with regard to reimbursing you, if there was one. And if there was one,
it was pretty much, no problem, Vic. You know, anytime you get your job, I know you're going to get your job at Bloomingdale. She was applying for it. I knew she'd get it. She gets everything she wants. And I said, no problem. When you get your job, you pay me back. I didn't bring anything up about interest.
Okay, just a second. So you said to her, when you get your job, you'll pay me back. What did she say to you, if you remember?
A nod, a yes, okay, sure, no problem, everything. That's how we talk. We were best friends. I knew she would pay me back. I bought her clothes, she paid me back. I lent her money for jackets, she'd pay me back.
Okay.
Anytime I lent her money, she paid me back.
We're not talking about clothes and jackets
All right.
here. Now, Miss Eccles, we're talking about
The
this
trip.
vacation
Mhm.
trip. According to you, there did come a time when she did give you some money towards the trip. Is that right?
$250.
When?
4/9, 6/20, 7/14, and 9/19. The year 1999.
Let me see.
This is all. I kept it on a little piece of paper.
No.
There's 4 times she paid me $50 here, $50 there, $100 here,
What?
$100 there.
The reason I put the $50 down was because I was the one that went to the travel agent and booked it, and they needed $50
We
down.
were the ones that went.
Just a
We
second.
went to the travel agent.
We didn't go
Just
together.
a second. In September, did you give her $100?
Yeah.
You did?
I did. Not for that.
Not for that?
No, I gave it to her because she needed money. That's the friendship
Here
we
we
had.
go. Sorry.
Just a second. In July, did you give her $100?
I don't remember the date, but yes, I did give her another $100.
Okay. So let's hear your version of these events.
Okay. During that time, Denise and I were going through graduating college and trying to move forward. We were a little stressed out. I said, I need a vacation. She did. She was my travel buddy. We went everywhere together. We were best friends. I'd give her money if she needed it. She'd give it to me. She did a lot for me. She was there for me when I needed somebody. And she turned around and said, Vic, why don't we book the trip? Let's just do it. I said, I don't have the money for that. And she said, well, I have my loans coming in from school. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. At that time, I didn't even know about Bloomingdale's, so as far as me getting my job, I didn't start Bloomingdale's until August, so that has nothing to do with it. So she said, why don't you go? She couldn't come with me at the time. She said, go to the travel agent and get the information. I put the $50 down because I was the only one there. And then she went back and paid the balance at a separate time. We weren't together. I never agreed to pay her back the money.
What? Shh. No. Shh.
What? What? I'm sorry.
Don't say what
I'm
again.
sorry.
Quiet.
What? I'm sorry. I really am.
It was your suggestion to go away on the vacation, according to you.
It was
That's what you
my
just
suggestion.
said. So it was
I
your
would take-
suggestion. Why don't we go away on vacation?
I said I needed a vacation.
Well, you said you needed a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of you had a lot of money.
No, I had credit though.
Sorry.
She had credit. I didn't.
Neither one of you had a lot of money, right?
Right. But
And you were good friends.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she was going to college,
Graduate school.
graduate school.
Yes. September.
And you were really good friends.
Yeah, we had plans to move out together that August.
You were really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you were well aware of the fact that graduate school was very important to her.
Oh, absolutely.
And that school loans usually don't cover all the expenses from school, right?
Right.
Usually people have to supplement those loans with getting a part-time job and other things, especially graduate school loans, right?
Right.
So that if she were to take the full $2,300 for the trip, charging your trip as well as hers, and pay for that from her graduate school loans, which she had not gotten yet,
Correct.
that would have not been a smart thing for her to do as a person who was serious about school, right? She might have been short in her tuition,
Correct.
right? And you were a very good friend.
Correct.
So you wouldn't want her to be short on
Not
her
at all.
tuition.
Nope.
And that was the only money she had, right?
Yep.
So as a very good friend, as you said, you were going to move in together, I cannot imagine you expecting her to not have enough money to pay for her tuition in order to take you on a trip.
I wasn't expecting her to take me on a trip. She offered it because
No,
we needed
I
it.
just said, you're the friend.
I am. Mm-hmm.
And I cannot imagine a really good friend for over a decade allowing their best buddy to risk not having enough tuition because they took you on a trip to Jamaica. What I can imagine,
May I?
Miss Oakley, is the best friend saying, listen, between now and the time you need the money for tuition, I will have started my job and I'll be able to start paying you.
Which is why I gave her the money. The
Which is why you gave her the $200. Well, that's
she needed
that.
it.
Just a second.
Not to pay back
There
the
you
trip because
go.
she needed it.
You just said, which is why then I
Because
gave
she
her back
needed it.
the money.
Because she needed it.
No, that's not
She
why.
wasn't working. She needed
Hey.
the money.
That wasn't why.
Miss Eccles,
Okay.
Does it look as if you're having a hard time before me?
No, but there's so much more to this than you can imagine.
I'm not interested in
I know,
so much more.
I know, but I just want to tell her.
I mean, I read the papers that there was some hurt because one of your grandmothers died.
That'd be me.
Brain
I didn't even get a
cancer.
phone call.
You were hurt because you didn't get a phone call from her. When did your grandmother pass away?
Last month.
Last month, so you were angry. Well,
No,
last
I'm
month
not
has
angry.
nothing to do with not paying back this money before that. So you did give her $250 because you thought she needed the money.
Because I knew she needed the money. Because her loans fell through, school wasn't working out, and she wasn't working.
Oh, well, this may be even an easier case to decide than calling you a bit of a fibber, Miss Oakley. You...
Judge Judy continues. Niece Eccles says former friend Victoria Oakley never paid her part of their trip to Jamaica.
Miss Oakley, you do agree, and I've read in your answer, that the agreement that you say she offered to pay for your part of the trip out of the school loans that she was going to get.
She didn't say that she was paying for it out of her loans, but what she told me was, don't worry about it. I have the loans coming. I'll have money. That's what she said to me.
Okay.
Don't
I'll
worry.
have the loans coming, so I will have enough money to pay. I will have the loans, therefore I will have the money to pay for your trip. You accepted this trip, understanding that your portion of the trip was to be paid, according to you, and I don't believe you, but according to you, it was to be paid from the loans that she was going to get. That was your understanding?
That's my understanding.
Her loans fell through?
They did.
Then you got to pay. There, make it easy. I don't have to call you a total fibber. There was a contingency on her paying for your half of the trip, and the contingency of her paying for your half of the trip was that she got loans. Her loans fell through. Therefore, you have to pay. Now, that's one scenario. And the first scenario, which I believe better, was that as soon as you got your job, you would start reimbursing her. You ultimately got your job in Bloomingdale's, and you were supposed to start to pay her when you started to work. All right, what does she owe you for half the trip? $950?
And interest?
You're suing her for $950.
Okay, $950.
That's what you're suing her for.
Mm-hmm.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $950.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step up.
I don't have any kind of a grudge against her, and I hope that maybe one day we can be friends. She was wrong, I was right, that's it. The weather was terrible, it was just a terrible trip.
Beautiful trip. Got the pictures to prove.
And now the next case.
All parties on Dold versus Williams. Step forward, please.
18-year-old student Brian Dold is suing classmate 18-year-old Taylor Williams for denting his car during a physical altercation.
Mr. Dole, you claim that the defendant damaged your car, which is what you're suing for.
Yes, ma'am.
Your complaint also alleges that he assaulted you.
Yes, ma'am.
I was sort of curious that you weren't suing for the assault, but just for the damage on the car. Did you file a police report about this?
Yes, ma'am. I have it right here.
Was he arrested for the assault?
No, ma'am, he was not.
All right. Tell me how this altercation started, sir. Where were you?
We were at the Oak Meadow Recreational Center in a neighborhood. We were sitting at the park. It was me, my girlfriend, and 3 other friends. Mr. Williams here came into the park with Kenny. Started asking to
So you knew each other?
No. I just knew of him, knew his name, but I never talked to Taylor before.
Had you seen him before?
Yes, at school.
In the past?
Yeah.
So you knew who he was?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we were in the park, and Mr. Williams approached me and my girlfriend and 3 other people with Kenny, and they asked the whereabouts of my friend Shane. I told him I don't know where Shane's at, and Taylor replied, I think you do. And I said, no, I don't. And he smelled of alcohol and seemed agitated and getting closer to me. So my girlfriend grabbed me by the arm. We started walking to my vehicle. Taylor runs to my vehicle, stumbles, lands into my door, and punches me once in the nose and attempts 2 more times. But I managed to block it with my arms.
And how did he damage your car?
When his body ran into the door, it caused 3 dents, which I have pictures of here.
Okay, I'll take a look at the pictures in a minute. All right, Mr. Williams. Not a difficult situation so far. Tell me your version of the events, sir.
Okay, I never met Mr. Doley, but he's had previous encounters with my friends before.
With your friends. Now, were those friends who he had previous encounters with you that day in the park?
We have a big group of friends, and it was with all our friends. But
Mr. Williams, pay careful attention. So that the people that you believed had confrontations with the plaintiff before were not with you in the park that day.
No, but they weren't.
How many people were in the park with you?
I went with my friend Kenny because we were riding around with our...
How many people were with you?
One friend was with me.
Did you get to the park by car, or did you walk to the park?
Yes, ma'am. We were riding around in my friend Greg's car.
You were with two other friends that day, then?
Yes, ma'am.
Not
And one
but
of
two.
Brian's friends called us on his cell phone and was telling us how Brian and his friends wanted to fight us and just talk trash to our friends. And in the past, I have a Jewish friend, and Brian... And
Just a second. You're on your cell phone. Somebody is telling you that this unnamed person, Shane, wants to fight with you and your friends, right?
That's correct.
You think that he knows where Shane is.
No, Brian's friends with Shane, and he was in on it too.
So you went up to them. They were in the park.
Yes, ma'am.
And you went up to him and said what?
I went up and I said, "What's the problem?" Because I'd never met him. I'd never met him before, and I wanted to see what was up. I wanted to know why they wanted to mess with me and my friends.
Oh, okay.
And they were all sitting around drinking, and we didn't get a good response.
We were sitting
Don't speak. They were all sitting around, and you did not get a good response. What do you mean you didn't get a good response, Mr. Williams?
They were all drinking and being obnoxious, and I knew it wasn't going to be anything.
So he didn't answer you.
Nothing good was going to come out of it.
Just pay attention, Mr. Williams. Who's smarter, do you think, you or me?
Probably you. You're older than me.
Even when I was your age.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I heard Brian say something along the lines of, "Hey, man."
So what did you do?
I went and I hit him.
Just changed my mind. Smarter than you were when I was born.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brian Dole says classmate Taylor Williams dented his car during an assault. Taylor says he never touched the car.
Okay. So you asked him a question. Now he responded something when you asked him a question. What did he respond?
I don't know.
You don't remember.
No, ma'am.
So say, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
And then, according to your answer, he and his girlfriend and another friend walked back to their car, right?
Yes, ma'am. We were walking away, too.
They walked back to their car, correct?
Correct. They were walking back to the car, and we were walking back to our car.
And where was your car parked compared to where their car was parked?
This wasn't Greg's car.
Where was
it? Was on the street, and they were parked in the parking lot.
Okay. So he's walking back to the parking lot, and you're walking back, allegedly, towards the car that you came in.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's pick up the action from there, Mr. Williams.
Okay, I'm walking back to... 3 of our friends pulled up, and I was walking back to their car.
So 3 more friends pulled up.
And they were all girls. 3
more friends pulled up. And you were walking where?
And Kenny and I were walking back to the car.
Which car?
The car that just pulled up, the 3 friends.
The car with the 3 girls?
The 3 new friends.
Okay, so you're walking up to their car.
Mm-hmm.
And?
And I heard Ryan say something along the lines of, "Hey, man." And from what I've heard...
Okay, so you heard him say something that you didn't like, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did you do?
It was in a threatening manner, and...
No, just a minute. You remember succinctly that he cursed at you
Yes, I do.
as you were walking to the car with the girls, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did you do?
I went and I hit him.
How far did you have to walk to hit him?
10 feet.
He ran.
He ran.
No, I didn't.
You ran.
No, I
Just
didn't.
a second. Ran. Walked. You walked up to him and you hit him. Why did you do that?
Because everything I've heard about this guy is nothing good, and every time I've seen him and his friends at school, they just stare at me, and that's the whole reason I was there, because they wanted to fight me. So I figured, if he said, "Hey, man," I mean, I don't know. I know I shouldn't have hit him, but I don't know what this guy's going to do. I didn't know if he was going to.
He was getting into his car.
He was already in the car, right?
He was already in the car when you hit him?
I didn't know if he
Just a
was...
second. He was already in the car when you hit him?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see the damage to the car. You idiot. Fool.
I have 2.
Just changed
I didn't
my
hit the
mind.
car,
Also,
though.
Smarter than you were when I was born.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Pretty one-sided.
He got little, tiny, whatever. Mr. Williams, if you're going to show off for friends...
I wasn't showing off for friends. I was defending myself. And I hit
No,
Brian Doty. I
Mr.
didn't hit his
Williams.
car.
How can you defend yourself, sir, when according to you, he's sitting in his car? According to you, he's sitting in his car.
He was sitting in his car, but this is a guy that's harassed my friends and me for the previous month in school. And
so what?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Williams, he's in the park with his friends. You go to the park, even though you say he's been harassing you, messing with you and your friends, but you went to find them. They didn't come looking for you.
We saw them.
And, of course you saw them. You saw them there and you went into the park. Now, when you got into the park, and after you had words with him that you don't remember, he tried to get away from the situation before it escalated, took his friends to get back into his car.
No, he didn't try to get away. We both walked off at the same time.
Everybody
walked off from the situation.
Not you.
I was walking away when I turned around and went and hit him.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $325. I don't think I'm going to get through to him if I had 10 years.
Parties are excused.
It's pretty one-sided, Judy.
20-year-old college student Tashima Taylor is suing her former live-in boyfriend, 20-year-old Anthony McCrary, for a broken lease and money he took from a joint savings account.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 137 on the calendar in the matter of Taylor versus McCrary. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Taylor, you and Mr. McCrary were high school sweethearts, according to what I read here. You have a 2-year-old child together, saved money together. I assume when you were in high school, decided to rent an apartment together, which was when?
That was August of '98.
And you signed a year lease?
Yes, we did.
Is that correct so far?
Yes.
There was an argument sometime in May of '99.
Mm-hmm.
You claim when he moved out, he also withdrew your savings of $1,200, and you believe that he should be responsible for half of the remaining months on the lease. He moved out when?
In May. We was together in an apartment for 9 months.
So, according to you, he owes 1/2 of 3 months' rent.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the rent?
$355.
Total?
Uh-huh.
Did you at any time move someone else into the apartment?
No. No, ma'am.
A new boyfriend or anything else?
No.
Did anybody come and stay with you?
Somebody came and stayed with me, but his name wasn't on the lease.
I don't care whether his name was on the lease or not.
Well, he came at the end of the very last month.
So 1 month?
Yeah.
Under the lease?
Under the lease.
He stayed there?
Yes.
Why didn't he pay rent?
Well, it wasn't really initially a plan for him to stay there.
But he did?
Yeah, I mean.
So why should he pay for that? Why should he pay for time when this other guy was living in the apartment?
Well, I mean, he paid for other things. He did help me out.
Person lives in an apartment, they got to pay rent.
Mm-hmm.
And if he had paid half the rent, then you wouldn't be asking for him for the other half, right?
Well, it was only for the final month, and we wasn't planning on moving in together. It's just something
Who knows?
that
Who
happened.
cares? So it's for 2 months at most. Now, you moved out, sir, because you had an argument with her.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me about that argument.
I don't remember the exact argument, but we were arguing ever since we moved in together. And I just got fed up and I moved out. And 2 days later, she threw my clothes out on my parents' driveway. Told me I wasn't making up my mind quick enough, and she told me it was over. And then after things calmed down, she called me up and asked me, could we get back together? And I said no.
How much after she put your clothes out on your mother's driveway did she call and try to reconcile with you?
About 2 weeks later.
Is that right?
That's not true, Your Honor.
Okay, what happened with the clothes? Did you bring the clothes over to his mom's house?
He had already moved out. He just left stuff there. He still had things at the apartment. If he's moving out and everything, I was giving him his stuff. I didn't leave it in his yard or anything. He's over-exaggerating. What had happened, he was depressed. We was both full-time students in college or whatever. And he was working at a job at Procter & Gamble, but it was like a seasonal thing where you work 6 months and then you're off, and you either you collect unemployment checks or you can find another job. He decided to collect unemployment checks. And so he would use all his money to pay the rent, and I would pay for all the rest of the utilities like telephone and food and electric and everything else. And so his money, unemployment checks, that's not a lot anyway. So his whole entire check would go on the rent, and he would have no money for himself, really. And so he was just depressed about that. And then he had all the time on his hands, so he had to watch our daughter more. And it's a combination of a lot of things, but he was just acting. His attitude was changing. Everything was changing about him, and he was feeling depressed. So I was asking, like, well, am I doing anything wrong? What am I doing wrong? And he wouldn't have no reply to that or whatever. And he just, when we would have talks and stuff, and he would try to leave and say, well, I can't take it anymore. That this it's just not the same or whatever. And I would tell him, well, you know, stay for us, stay for the family and everything else. And I had convinced him a couple of times before he tried to leave to stay. But this final time, we wasn't arguing, we was talking. It would be a long talk, emotional talk, we both crying and everything. And he like, well, you know, I just need to get away. So it was fine. And I was upset about it for a couple of days, sad and heartbroken over it. But, you know, I always felt like he was going to come back. And then I would go over there to drop off our daughter because his mother would watch her. And I come over there, and he got on brand new clothes, new shoes, new golds in his mouth, tattoos and everything new. And then it came clear to me that he was just leaving his responsibility. He wanted to spend money on him. He didn't want to take care of the bills and everything like he used to.
How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
That's what happens when you're 20 years old and you make a baby. When you're 18 years old, then you get responsibilities. It all sounds nice in the planning stage, but when you have to live the life of being responsible and not being able to buy yourself things and live a little bit when you're 19, that's what happened. Okay. But there was that 2-month period. She didn't have another roommate, like the boyfriend, who should have paid his half, which would mean that if you decided you had enough of this relationship, you owe her 1 month's rent. She lived there for 2 months by herself. Half of it should be yours. Now let's get to the $1,200 that you say he removed from the joint savings account. You say there was an agreement, sir, between the two of you.
Yes. The agreement was after we moved out, or after I moved out, and we decided that we weren't going to be together anymore, I took the money out of the bank account.
I know you did that.
She kept all the stuff that was in the apartment, all the furniture, the bedroom set, the microwave, TVs, VCRs.
Was that all paid for?
Yes.
From what fund had you furnished this apartment?
From my previous job at Walgreens.
Okay. And hers?
Well, at the time she was pregnant, so she didn't have a job, Your Honor.
Okay. Is it true, Miss Taylor, that when he moved out, he left all the furniture?
He left. It was only a one-bedroom apartment. So
one-bedroom apartment has
he left
a bedroom,
the sofa.
a bedroom. Was that furnished? Did it have a bedroom set in it?
Well, that was his bedroom set from his house. He could have took that. It wasn't.
Just a minute. Was that from your house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so the bedroom set you didn't pay for? Or
No,
was
Your
it
Honor.
your parents and they gave it to you?
My parents gave it to me, yes.
What about the living room furniture?
That's what we both paid for from the joint bank account. All the furniture we bought, what we saved from our joint bank account, that's what we used.
Well, that's what he's saying. He's saying that he walked out with nothing.
Yeah.
Living room furniture?
He didn't.
Pay attention. Living room furniture? Did you buy that?
Yes, we bought that together.
Did you buy a television set?
Yes, but he took that.
Took the TV?
No, Your Honor, I did not receive the TV until after her and her boyfriend moved out in September of '99.
So you did, in fact, get the TV back?
September of '99, yes, Your
What
Honor.
difference does it make when you got it back? What other furniture was bought from joint money?
The kitchen set, the
Kitchen set, was that bought from joint money?
Only things kitchen set is like plates and a microwave.
What about table and chairs?
Table, yeah, dinette set, yeah.
Well, so, dinette set. Dinette set was purchased by the two of you?
Yes.
And he left that there?
Yes, he did.
And then the silverware plates, pots, pans, all of that stuff, you bought when you moved into the apartment? And he left that there?
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Says former live-in boyfriend Anthony McCrary owes her for a broken lease and money he stole from a joint checking account. Anthony says Tashima kept their furniture.
Do you remember how much you paid for the living room furniture?
Like $800, $900, not including the tables and everything.
Well, if that came to $800 or $900 and the dinette set and the plates and pots and pans and all that other stuff, clearly that's more than $1,200. Look, this is not so difficult. Mr. McCrary, I don't believe that there was an agreement with her that she would keep all the stuff and you would take the money out of the joint bank account. That was an agreement you made up here with yourself. You are paying child support?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you pay child support from the time you moved out until the time that the court made the order?
I was served the papers in September, and we didn't go to court until November. So I didn't pay child support until December of '99, all the way up to present.
So you didn't pay child support from the time you moved out until December?
Yes, Your Honor.
So that's September, October, November, 3 months.
There was no child support to be paid, Your Honor.
Yes, there was. There just wasn't an order.
Well, yes, I bought my daughter food, diapers, and clothing. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You're going to give her back half of what was in the joint bank account, sir. Just $600. There was $1,200 in there that you acknowledge, and you're going to pay her $355 for 1 month's rent, because I believe that that's fair. You had a responsibility. Now, did you get any security deposit back?
No. The house was damaged, holes in the door, whatever, from violent fights or whatever.
Well, that's very sad. $955, Mr. McCreary, is what you owe the plaintiff, judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was just retaliation from a disagreement that we had about another situation.
Well, he's not a reasonable person. We can't even talk anymore. I mean, he's still causing constant conflict in my life at this very moment.
And now the next case.
All parties on Long versus Smith. Step forward, please.
52-year-old Ronald Long Sr. is suing 18-year-old construction worker Joshua Smith for assaulting his son RT and ramming his car during an episode of road rage.
Did you people know each other before this road rage took place?
I don't know him, I know his son.
Well, actually, Your Honor, I filed suit so my son could collect the damages to his car.
Oh.
Since he's a
So
minor.
you weren't driving?
No, ma'am.
Fine. Son,
Yes.
why don't you have a seat? Easy. You know him,
Yeah, I know him.
and he was driving,
Yeah.
and you know him.
Yes, ma'am.
Each of you claimed that the other caused damage to your respective cars.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
You want your deductible that you had to pay of $500, and you want a couple of $1,000s for damage that you say he caused to your car.
Yes, ma'am.
So I found the story's pretty convoluted. Why don't you tell me your end, and then I'll hear from you, sir.
On the night of March 31st, me and my friend Charles Rice, we were coming back from the movie theater. And we went into this drive-in restaurant where we were going to get something to eat, but we saw some people that didn't care for us too much, and they saw us and they started waving their hands and stuff. So we proceeded to go home. And as I was going home, I noticed 2 cars on us.
You mean 2 cars following you?
Yes, ma'am. And when we pulled up to the stop sign, they would get out and run up and cuss and yell and scream and say they were going to kill us and stuff. But I didn't want to show these boys where I live, so I decided to take a detour. They proceeded to follow us, and every stop sign they'd run up and try to, hit my car or whatever. And as I proceeded westbound on a road called 58 that goes to my house, there was a car behind me, and there was a car behind that car.
Who was driving that car?
Mr. Smith.
Go ahead.
He goes out into the other lane of traffic, which is a 25-mile-per-hour zone. He was going very fast. I'm not sure the speed limit, but fast enough to get ahead of the car behind me and my car.
Okay, so he pulls his car around, and?
And I put on a turn signal to turn onto the road that leads to my road called Hawthorne. And he passed me, and he saw me put on my turn signal, I guess. So he did like a stop and a turn, and he went up and got in front of me and slammed on his brakes. He stopped and he let a gentleman out of his car, and he ran up and grabbed me and started hitting me. And he got off, and my lane was clear to go. And he was in the other lane of traffic, so I proceeded to go home, and he pulled up in front of me again, and he hit my car. And I just proceeded to go and went home.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
My friend got out of the car and went back. I had no idea he was going to be beating him up,
All of that could have been avoided if you just went and ate your burger in the drive-thru.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 16-year-old RT Long Jr. says Joshua Smith assaulted him due to road rage.
Mr. Smith, let me hear your version of these events, sir.
All right, we were at the drive-in restaurant like he was saying. he was talking to stuff, you know, I don't know what you want to call it, but he always does that. And my friend is right here. They were in the car, and they were following him, and I was behind them following.
So there were 2 cars following him?
Yeah, there were 2 cars. I was behind that car. Well, we were at the stop sign, like you said, and they stopped, and they went out and up to the car, and they were saying stuff. I'm not sure what they were saying because I was in the car behind them. Well, after that, I went around them there, you know. I went around them there. I did not pass 2 cars at once. And
You
then
went around who?
I went around the vehicle that he was in.
Okay.
And I was following RT, and then I passed RT on 58 Highway, just him, and then I turned up right on Hawthorne, and I stopped my car in the middle of the road, and my friend got out of the car and went back. I had no idea he was going to be beating him up, you know, and then he just took off and he hit my car while I was sitting there at a standstill. I was sitting there, parked. I didn't even see it coming. I mean, all I heard was the bang on the passenger side. I have pictures of my car.
I'd like to see pictures of both cars.
As you can see in this photo, there's no way that I could have hit his car by the damage that's done on my vehicle.
Okay.
What street does he live on?
I'm thinking it's Redbud Street.
And do you get there by going to Hawthorne?
Yeah.
And what street do you live on?
I live on North Scott.
And do you get there by going through Hawthorne?
No.
So I am correct, sir, that you were in fact following him,
Yes.
and that the other car was in fact following him.
Yes.
Why?
Because he talks a lot of stuff that he shouldn't be saying. I don't know. We were trying to figure out what was going on.
And how did you think you were going to figure out what was going on by following him?
We were going to go see what his problem was. That's what we were doing.
And at some point, your passenger got out of the car and went up and assaulted him.
Yes.
You acknowledge that?
Yes.
Is that the way you thought that you
No.
were going to talk to him and find out what his problem was?
No, I did not. I thought that my friend was going to talk to him, but it worked out. He started assaulting him.
You're going to eat your $500 deductible.
I'm going to eat. What does that have to do with my car getting hit?
Easy. You were the aggressor because you were following him. He's on his way home. There's no question in my mind that you either meant to frighten him. Certainly somebody did, in fact, that came from your car, assaulted him, right?
Yeah.
All of that could have been avoided if you just went and ate your burger in the drive-thru. Your car wouldn't have been damaged at all, sir, if you didn't follow him, right?
Right. But it wouldn't have been damaged if he wouldn't have just rammed it. And
No, it wouldn't have been damaged at all if he...
wouldn't have.
Listen to me. It would not have been damaged at all had you not been doing the wrong thing. Eat your $500. Let me see the estimates on your damage.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What kind of car was this, sir?
That's an 87 Caprice Classic.
The damage exceeds the price of the car. So what happened?
There's two estimates there. There's another one for 2218, I believe.
Did you fix the car?
It hasn't been fixed yet.
The car ain't even worth that.
Sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. I want you to leave court today just thinking about those little words. If you don't like what somebody is saying to you, you have your option. You and your friends chose that night to follow him to make trouble, which you in fact did. At some point after the initial involvement of the morons in his car, you stopped your car and let your passenger, I'm speaking, and let your passenger out to assault him. And now you're complaining that your car was damaged? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $22,1809. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
30-year-old bartender Lance Shiverdecker is suing ex-girlfriend, 24-year-old hotel night auditor Dawn Marquis for a loan. Dawn is countersuing for a projection TV and defamation of character.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 40 on the calendar in the matter of Shiverdecker versus Marquise. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
The two of you met, according to what I read, at the place where you both work, which is at a hotel,
Correct.
and dated briefly for about a 3-month period. And Mr. Shiverdicker, during that time, you allege that you loaned the defendant some money to fix her car.
Yes, Your Honor.
You broke up, you want your money back. She says that the money that you spent on the car was not a loan, was a gift. And she is counterclaiming for a television set, which he has that belongs to you, and then for some nonsense about defamation of character. All right, so let's start. When did you give her this money for the car?
It was within the 3 months, January, February, March. I just kept putting money into her car because her car kept breaking down.
Well, let's start with the first time you gave her money to put in the car. How did that come about?
She was like, it was January 24th, I think, I believe, and she was having car problems and stuff like that. She has 2 children, so she kept coming to my house and stuff. Her car was breaking down, so I figured that I'd be a nice guy, give her some money, help her fix her car. She said she was getting a tax check in. She'd give me the money back from the tax check when she got it in.
That's
so
not true.
I just...
Just a minute. Tell me the exact conversation, sir. She called you and said she was having car trouble. What kind of car trouble was she having?
Starter was going in her car.
Okay, that was the first problem?
No, the first problem was the windshield was broken in her car.
Oh. So let's get to the windshield. Did she call your house and tell you she needed it, or were you out together and she told you she needed money?
No, we were out together. We were talking about it.
And what did you say to her?
I just told her, she asked me about, she's driving around with the windshield cracked and stuff, and I told her that, you know, you should get that fixed before she gets pulled over with it.
Okay. You should get that fixed. And what did she say to you?
She said she would when she got a tax check money in.
She said, fine, I'm going to do that when I get my tax check.
Right.
And you said to her?
I said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it now. When you get your tax check, you can just give me the money so you don't have to have no problems until then.
And how much did you give her?
I went to the junkyard, picked up a windshield. It was $50. And then I went to a glass place like a week later and had it put in for her.
And how much did they charge you at the glass place?
$60.
Did you consult her about any of these costs?
Yeah, she said she'll take care of it once you got a tax check.
You keep saying that. Had you told her you were going to a junkyard?
Yes.
Is that right?
He told me he'd call a couple of junkyards and find prices. And I told him to get prices and then notify me, and I was going to buy the windshield with my paycheck, not my tax check.
Okay, so you were planning to buy it?
I was planning to buy it, yes.
Okay. And you couldn't have gotten it cheaper than $50, could you?
I wasn't sure. He said that was his responsibility to look for me. I wasn't allowed to look myself. So he was supposed to call, get prices, and then notify me. I was going to pay him the money, and he was going to pick it up.
Okay. You picked it up, it was $50. Then you took the windshield and had it put in your car.
No, he brought me to a place that his friend owned. And
Just a second. Did you go to a place and have the windshield put in your car?
Yes.
And did you go with him?
Yes.
And did you know how much the cost was?
Yes, it was nothing. There were friends of his that owned the business. What he was initially going to do is he has full coverage in his vehicle. His friend was going to say that they were putting it on his truck and put on his tax as though his truck had the windshield put in it.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
No, it is not. And when we got there, the guy that did it, the owner of the shop, it was a place in Boston, said that, he said, don't worry about it. And then we left.
Okay. When was the next time you gave her money?
It was probably about, excuse me, about 2 weeks after that.
And what happened then?
Her car broke down and she was tanning or something. Her car broke down and as her starter, it was a starter. So she didn't have the money at the time for the, for the starter, so I told her.
Well, no, her car broke down. Did she call you?
Yeah. Yes, she did.
And what did she say when she called you?
She was yelling and upset about her car and saying she wanted to get rid of it. And so I told her I'd go pick her up and take care, see if I get the car running or whatever like that. So she said, don't worry about it. Her mother was going to pick her up or something like that. So she went and had it towed, or I don't know what she had done, but it was at her house. I told her I'd pick up a starter for her and have it put in for her.
Okay. And how much did that cost?
I believe the starter was $50 and the labor was like $115.
Do you have any
I
bills?
got the receipts right here, all the receipts.
Okay, I'd like to take a look at it. All right, and she gave you the car to go and have that done?
No, we went together and we dropped it off. And she went over my house after.
Yes, we went together. I didn't talk to anybody. I wasn't allowed to go in the place. I had to wait in his truck while he went in and talked to the mechanic and stuff.
Don't tell me,
I mean, I don't know what
that you're not
happened in there.
allowed. You're allowed to do whatever you want. You're allowed to get in the car. You're allowed to get out of his car if he drove you there and take a bus home?
No, they're arguing though. I mean,
So you argue. You don't get into his car in the first place.
It's not a lie.
Listen to me, Ms. Marquis. I mean, I read your answer, and you said he was totally dominating you, and he wouldn't let you do anything. So just listen what you did. You complained to me that he totally dominated you when he went and got the windshield for your car and didn't ask you anything, and then totally dominated you when you went in to have the windshield put into the car, right? Then you don't accept, if that bothers you, then you don't accept his offers when he wants to put in a new starter for the car. What you say is, I'll take care of it myself.
And I did.
No, no, no. What you say is, I'll take care of it myself. I don't want to go with you. I don't want you to pick me up a starter. You didn't say that to him.
I told him that I would go and pay for it because he said his mechanic has been in the family a long time and was a good, reputable mechanic.
Are you not following what I'm saying to you? Is it not piercing through? If somebody you feel is trying to control your life, you don't put them in a situation where they can do that. Unless you want to accept things. Right?
Okay.
Now, what about this television set, Miss Marquis?
Before, when we started dating, my father had given me it's like a projection television set, and Lance came over and my father was saying how it had to be repaired. He said he knows a friend that can repair the TV, and that him and his friend would pick it up and bring it to his house because his friend lived in the same city, and that it would be fixed from then on. I don't think it's been fixed yet, and when I asked for it back, he said my father and I gave it to him.
What happened was her father was buying a new big screen TV. He needed to get that TV out of the house. She said it was broken. She said, if you could do me a favor, I'd appreciate it if you could get the TV out of the house. I had a pickup truck. I said, yeah, I'll take care of it for you. She goes, you can do whatever you want with the TV. I don't care. I just need it out of the house.
That sounds right to me.
No.
That sounds right to me.
That's
why would I take a broken TV and bring it to my house?
You want to know
why?
why?
Fix their house.
Because you didn't bring a lawsuit until he sued you for the money.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. For a loan. Dawn is countersuing Lance for ruining her reputation.
Who are you?
I'm his mother.
Step up. What's your last name?
Shiverdecker.
Shiverdecker, what do you know about this TV?
She was talking to my son on the phone, and he lives with me. And I even called her mom and told her mom that she could pick up the TV at any time. It was broken. It was of no use to us.
Where is the TV now? Just
It's at my house.
Is it fixed?
No, it's not.
It's not fixed?
No.
So nobody did anything with it?
Correct.
Fine. Go get it.
Okay.
3 days from today. If you're not there after 3 days, he's going to fix it and have himself a TV. Sit down.
Your Honor, I have bank statements showing that the whole entire time I had over that amount of the money in the bank, including my my deposits with the checks. The second time he had the car repaired, my money was already in the bank, and he knows that because when I was sleeping, he went through my pocketbook and looked at all my bank statements.
So why don't you give him the money that he spent on your car?
Because when I tried to in the first place, I was writing a check and we were going to pick up the car. He told me no. He said, it's my responsibility, I'm taking care of it. He refused the money.
Well, but he wants it now, so why don't you give it to him?
Because he said not to worry about it
No,
before, so
listen
no.
to me.
He said it's his
Listen to
responsibility.
me. But he wants it now, and you're no longer together.
That's why he wants it back.
So why don't you do it?
Because I offered to do that. If my
Oh, well, let's
television was
offer
returned-
again. You offer to give him back the money he spent for his car, for your car?
If my stuff was returned to me also.
Just what stuff?
My television.
You're going to pick that up in 3 days.
Okay.
What else?
That's the main thing, yeah, that's it.
That's the only thing. Good.
Your Honor.
Now let me see. Now, that's very good. So let me see the bills that you spent on a car.
And this is,
she wants to give it back to you.
This was a letter that she wrote me. That I was,
She wants to give it back to you because that's the right thing to do, because she says you're annoying her at work. You're annoying her at work, and probably one of the reasons you're annoying her is that you feel as if she made a fool out of you by taking this money. Is that right?
Your Honor, I don't even see her at work. I don't talk to her at work.
$261. Now, you want to take care of the rest of this countersuit that you have, or defamation?
Yes. I work at the front desk at the hotel, and he works in the bar. People in the bar have been coming up to me.
Don't tell me what anybody's telling you from the bar.
I'm sorry, what?
Don't tell me what anybody's been telling you. That's hearsay.
Okay, well, he's at the bar telling people at the bar that...
How do you know what he's telling people at the bar?
A couple of the patrons and a police officer came to me and asked me about it.
You cannot tell me what anybody else said. That's hearsay.
Okay.
Good. Counterclaim is dismissed with the exception of the television set, which you will pick up in 3 days. If she doesn't pick it up within 3 days from today, you are free to do whatever you want with it. And I am awarding you $261 on your claim. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Subjected to people saying a lot of obnoxious rumors about me that aren't true, having to switch jobs and everything because of it, and him constantly being there harassing me.
If it was any harassment, it was on her part.
And now the next case.
All parties on Schmid versus Vanderham. Step forward, please.
21-year-old student Kelly Schmidt claims ex-boyfriend, 19-year-old student Josh Vanderham, owes her for half the cost of a Millennium getaway.
You folks were dating each other around the millennium. According to your complaint, Ms. Schmidt, you arranged for a weekend
In Huntington Beach.
in Huntington Beach.
Yes.
And you put all of this, the hotel and stuff, on your credit card. You say there was an arrangement for him to repay you half of the cost of the trip.
Yes.
You broke up shortly thereafter. He hasn't paid you back.
Yes.
That's what this is about.
I wanted to do something really fun for New Year's, and I had just thought of doing this for the weekend, and so I called the hotel. And
Now, first, did you call him?
Yes, I called him and discussed it with him first, and said.
Well, tell me about it. Tell me
Well, I
about
called
that
him and I discussed it, and I said, you know, look, this would be a cool idea. You know, would you be interested in doing it? And he's like, yeah, that's cool. You know, I'm like, okay, well then I'll call in the hotel and I'll find out if, you know what's going on, how much it costs, and all that, and then I'll call and let you know the details. And so I called him back after I found out, and I told him, look, it's $1,000 for the weekend. They do have room, you know, but I'd totally love to do it as long as you'd be willing to pay me half. He said, yeah, let's do it. I'll pay you half. That's fine.
Did she call you and tell you about the weekend in Huntington Beach?
Yeah, she called me.
So tell me about the conversation.
She called me back and she said, you know, I really want to do something for the Millennium. You know, would you like to come with me and stay for the getaway?
Right.
And I said, sure, I would love to go. Basically, we never arranged for any payment or anything.
How did you...
I paid for dinner that night when we went out to dinner, and then for drinks, it was an open bar, so we tipped the bartender several times throughout the course of the 2 days.
Well, did you think she was going to take you away for a 3-day holiday? Is that what you thought?
Well, I don't know. She was my girlfriend at the time, so I figured, you know, she was going to help me out, and we were going to spend a 2-day, you know, romantic little weekend.
It's not romantic when she's paying.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Sounds great. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Well, basically...
Not basically. Stop with the basically.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kelly Schmidt says former boyfriend Josh Vanderham owes her for half the cost of a Millennium getaway.
Did you discuss the cost?
Yes, we did, actually.
Okay, so let me hear about the discussion about the cost. Shh. I didn't ask you.
Oh.
I asked Mr. Vanderham.
Basically, she said it was $1,000, and she was going to put it on her credit card.
All right, Mr. Vanderham, we're not going to pull teeth here, sir.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you individual questions. Did she tell you what the room was, what the room cost?
Yes, it was $1,000.
And did she tell you what that included?
Yes, she did.
And you said, sounds great.
Sounds great. Sign me up.
Sounds great. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Okay. Had you given her presents before?
Yes, we had Christmas before that.
So you gave her a present?
Yes.
What did you give her?
Several presents. Clothes.
Give me the big one.
Clothes. You know what? Actually, I don't really remember. It was clothes.
You went out and picked them out yourself?
Yes.
And when you gave them to her, did you, what was it, a blouse or a shirt or something?
A dress. It was a couple items.
Couple of things.
Probably.
Did you tell her where you purchased them?
Yes.
Did you tell her how much they cost?
No.
Why didn't you tell her how much they cost?
Because it was Christmas and...
Because it was a gift?
Yes.
Right. Now, what your claim is, Mr. Vanderham, is that she was making a gift to you of this Millennium weekend, right?
That's correct.
So when one makes a gift to somebody, usually they do not discuss the cost of the gift with that person. They say, now you see where I'm going?
I see where you're going.
Yeah, I knew you'd see where I was going. You usually don't have a long conversation about what the room costs, what the meals are, that it includes entertainment, unless there is an expectation that you're going to be repaid. Because if you gave her a dress for Christmas, you wouldn't say, here, I bought you this dress for $149. Right? That would be tacky.
Yes.
It's the same kind of gift.
I hear you.
The same kind of gift, you hear me? All right, so the room was $500. So why are you suing him for $600?
Well, basically...
Not basically. Stop with the basically.
As far as the interest went on the credit card, it's about 12%, and the charges were incurred all the way in December. And
so you're charging for interest on your credit card?
Yes, and actually it was about $1,050 plus extra room charges and stuff. I have the credit card statement right here if you'd like to see it.
Now you say you paid for dinner, Mr. Vanderham. Was that a gift?
Yeah.
Basically.
Basically.
You like my basically.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What was the $200 for?
The $200 was for an extra. We had the witness and his girlfriend ended up staying with us in the room that weekend, and that was an extra $200. But they paid for that. They paid me money for that.
Is this the person who stayed in the room?
Yes, it is.
Is this your friend?
That's my best friend.
Still your best friend. So he's sitting on that side.
He was there.
I don't know.
What? Step up here. David.
Yes.
David what?
Pollard.
Are you nervous?
A little bit.
Good. David, you and your girlfriend went and spent the weekend with them?
Yes.
In Huntington Beach?
Yes.
And your tab was $200?
That's correct.
And this is your best friend?
Yes.
Didn't you think it was sort of fair to say, listen, if we have this room and the room's going to cost us a total of $1,200 for the four of us, that we should split that in half?
I asked him about the cost of the room.
You asked who about the cost?
She...
no, who did you ask about the cost, David?
I actually asked both of them.
Both of them in the same... They were there at the
on
same...
different phone calls. Kelly called me back and told me it would be $100 a person extra. And I said, well, you know, how much is the room? And she said, well, the room's a little over $1,000. And I said, well, is $100 then going to cover it? Do you want more? And she said, no, just, you know, pay for what extra fees they're going to charge us. And I said, okay, you know.
So she was a nice person.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
Before they even came to the picture, it was just going to be me and him splitting the entire cost. So I had already planned on just us agreeing to pay that much money. And like you said, they had offered, but, you know, I just told them that's fine. We've already, you know, taken care of it. We've discussed it, and that's how it's going to work. So.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Berquist is suing her mother, 36-year-old home care provider Melody Berquist, for repossessing her car. Melody says her daughter wasn't making the payments.
Come to order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 58 on the calendar in the matter of Berquist versus Berquist. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Miss Berquist, the defendant is your mother.
Correct.
How old are you?
19.
According to your complaint, you needed some help in purchasing a car.
Correct.
And your mother agreed to help you with the purchase of the car. She was the co-signer?
Correct.
When was that? When did you purchase the car?
December 9th, 1999.
So you were over 18 at that point?
Correct.
And the car is in your name?
It's in me and my mom's name, yes.
Who put down the down payment?
I did.
And how much was the down payment?
I traded in my car that I had. They gave me $1,500 for it, and then I put $200 cash.
So far, is that correct?
Yeah, that's pretty much correct.
And then according to what you've written here, your mother took back the car.
Correct.
And you don't have the car anymore?
No, my sister's driving it.
You took back the car and gave it to your other daughter?
She thought that she could make the payments on it, and...
You took back the car and gave it to your other daughter?
Yes.
Okay. When did you do that and why?
Tasha was late with her first payment. She quit her job that she had about 2 days after she'd got the car. And she didn't show me that she was going to be able to make the payment. She got ill. She had to go in for emergency surgery. And she left the keys on the counter in the kitchen when she went to the hospital. I took the keys and had them with me. I went to work, and I worked 10 hours. I'm gone 10 hours of the day. She came when I was at work and took all of her belongings.
She lied to her grandmother because she wanted to borrow $25. There was a window broken out of the car already. When I found this out when I got home and she'd moved out, I decided to hide the car over at my brother's. Tyann then said that she thought that, my other daughter, she thought that she could make the payments, and together we made the first one. It was about a month overdue before we could make the first payment.
After a month, you took the car and you gave it to your other daughter. Is that right?
Yes.
Do you have the car now?
Yes, I do.
Are you making the payments on the car?
I'm behind right now.
Well, how much behind are you?
A month.
And what about the insurance?
I don't have any.
I asked Tyann to, at the very least, put a for sale sign in the window if she's not going to bring it back to me, so that we could try to sell it, you know, because if I...
You're absolutely right. But you can't take her car away without giving her back her down payment. Do you understand? If you took the car after a month, she's out her $1,700.
It didn't go exactly like that.
Okay.
Tasha, I tried to communicate with her if she was going to be able to make the payment on ours. She'd started a new job, and then she'd gotten sick. And I didn't know if she'd made any money. She was working at the car lot that she actually bought the car from. She did not communicate that with me at all. That weekend, she showed up at her work with her paycheck, flaunting it. She never came to me and said, Mom, I've got the money, or anything. I was just protecting my interests.
And where is the car now? You have it.
She's got it. Won't
Are
give it
you
back.
living with your sister?
Yeah.
I know.
Just a second. Oh, this is very easy. You have a job now?
Not right now, no.
Well, how could you make the payments if you don't have a job?
The reason I don't have a job is because I'm going to Colorado at the end of this month, and I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks, so I can't really start a new job and then just leave. So I was going to get a job once I came back.
Well, who's supposed to make the car payments?
My sister, she's been making them, and...
How many car payments did you make altogether?
2 of them.
You made 2, and you've had the car since when?
The end of February.
And I made the rest.
I'm going to resolve this case very easily. She doesn't have a job, so she can't make the car payments, right?
Right, well, I can get the money. That's not a problem to do it.
Where are you going to get the money from?
As
From
my
her?
boyfriend? No, my boyfriend.
What?
I was
Yeah.
willing to make the car payment for her.
As a matter of fact,
and she made the car payment on my other car.
So that I could use, so I had a car to drive. I was making it
You're
on
the
his.
boyfriend?
Yes.
Right.
You're the boyfriend. Fine. So you have good credit?
It got bad in October. That's a whole nother issue.
Okay. I'm going to resolve this for your mother, because your mother did a very, very foolish thing.
Yes.
Well,
Because she co-signed for you. The car is titled in your name. The car is titled in her name. The loan, they would come after her, clearly, in the event that the car, right?
no, I actually talked to them, asked them if I could get off the loan and everything, and I said, now as far as coming after the payment, they said they're going to come after me first.
Yeah, but you don't
And
have
then-
any money, so then they're going to come
Right.
after your mother.
Everything is in my name only. I mean, she is on it, but
I have
everything.
papers that show that I
Doesn't
signed
make
and
any
everything.
difference. Let's say that you co-signed for the loan, so they come after you and they say, give us our money, and you say, I don't have any.
No, I could get the money. That's not a problem. I'm getting a job at the end of the month. I had all the money to pay for this
Fine,
car.
so this is your boyfriend, you're driving his car.
Right.
Right?
And I've been paying on that car.
But you didn't make the first payment.
Right, because I didn't have a chance to. I got real sick.
Here, I understand that. The bank doesn't care whether you
Oh,
have
I
a
know.
chance to.
I know.
Ms. Berquist, the bank doesn't care.
Judge Judy continues and says her mother, Melody Berquist, illegally repossessed her car.
Ms. Berquist, this is what we're going to do. You're going to give the car back to your mother. Today! You are going to sell the car.
Thank you.
If you don't get enough from the sale of the car to cover the loan, okay, you can come back.
Okay.
That way, you don't have a car, you don't have a car, and you don't have a loan, because you don't have money, and you don't have a job, and you got the loan. Do you understand? So the car is to be turned over to your mother today. You got it?
I got it.
You understand? You sell it.
I will. That was my plan.
Perfect. That's all. Thank
What
you.
is our excuse? You may step out.
Where do I go? This way. I'm not pleased, of course. I didn't even get to get all my stuff.
I feel bad. I love my kids, you know, that's why I did it.
And now the next case.
All parties on Graham versus Graham. Step forward, please.
47-year-old contractor Brian Graham is suing his ex-wife, 47-year-old registered nurse Cheryl Graham, for unpaid bills and the deposit on a car. Cheryl is countersuing for pain and suffering and harassment.
Mr. Graham, you and the defendant were married for 12 years, according to your complaint. Are you currently divorced, or are you still married, legally
We
married?
are divorced.
Okay, and what year was your divorce?
It was final about 2 months ago.
When did you separate?
September/October 1999.
And you got an order for spousal support, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you say, Mr. Graham, that you had an arrangement with your now former wife that she would be responsible for certain bills. And when she did not pay those bills, you deducted that, because you paid the bills, from the spousal support.
That is correct.
And then you went back to court, and the judge told you that since it was an order for spousal support, you could not deduct the amounts that you claimed, because judges don't like it when anybody else fools around with their orders.
That would sum it up very well, Judge.
Right. So the judge told you that if you felt you had a claim against her, you could sue her in civil court.
That is correct.
Therefore, you're here. Now, you see what I've managed to glean out of these 5 pages of papers that you wrote?
You're so good.
The only thing that was not clear to me, Mr. Graham, is what specific items you are claiming you had an agreement over with your former wife. So first, let me ask a couple of basic questions. What was the order for spousal support?
The order that I was to pay after paying for the car would be a cash payment of $330.20 per month, plus an amount for making up on a cash out for the house.
And that was on or about September of 1999.
The order began as of March 1st of this year, 2000.
So there was no order prior to March 1st?
That is correct.
Is that right?
According to the settlement, it was February 12th when I moved out is when he was to start paying support.
Can I see that, please? Did you both have attorneys?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Don't know the magic words of keeping it simple. Husband shall pay to the wife, asking for spousal support, $625 a month, commencing on the day that the wife moves out of the residence. She's supposed to vacate the residence March 1st, 2000. Did you move out of the residence on March 1st, 2000?
I moved out on February 12th.
Okay. Did you make payments of spousal support, sir?
No, I did not.
Why?
We had a Dodge that was coming up to the end of its lease in December. I knew that a car would be needed for transporting the children and
these were
Cheryl.
your children?
Yes, correct.
These were your children that he raised over the 12 years with you?
Yes.
So I agreed that when that lease was up, I would purchase the car. And I said, but I don't have the down payment. That's when she agreed to pay $800 toward the down payment of that car and the auto insurance. Those would be deducted from the spousal support.
Okay, so you made a car payment of $800 and the auto insurance payment of how much?
$227.66 for that period of time, Your Honor. This is the written agreement that Cheryl gave me prior to that time, saying that she would pay $800 plus the auto insurance out of the spousal support or settlement order. We have more. The next item is the utility bills. Now, I moved out of the house in October of 1999, leaving Cheryl and the children staying in the house. Through the time we actually signed our final agreement, our final settlement agreement, Cheryl did pay all the bills. It seems, though, that on the day we signed that agreement, all payments of those bills stopped, and that was early in January. And then when she moved out, I moved back in, and I started getting bills that had not been paid, bills that were delinquent. They included the telephone bill, the gas and electric, water and sewer. The cable bill had not been paid. So that makes up a total of $778.26.
Did you pay those bills?
No.
Tell me why.
He did not move out of the house. And my daughter and neighbor know that he was there daily. He was there every morning to take my son to school. He came and worked in the house. He works for himself. A lot of the tools are in the garage. He was there daily working on projects for jobs. He used the shower. He used the house. All he did was go spend the night with someone else.
He was sleeping elsewhere.
Right.
And you did, in fact, Miss Graham, pay the bills prior to January.
Yes.
You paid the bills in November?
Yes.
In October?
Yes.
In December?
Yes.
Was he showering, picking your son up from school, using his tools in October?
Yes.
In November?
Yes.
In December?
Yes.
So you decided to stick it to him for January.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He was a wonderful father for 12 years. Someone does not just become an ogre, but he has gone from, we'll make this a civil divorce, to I'm out for blood.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brian Graham says his ex-wife Cheryl Graham owes him for unpaid bills and a car deposit.
Okay. Let's hear you.
Before, in August, before he told me that he wanted a divorce, we had discussed how we were going to handle bills and saving money for future and that type of thing. And I had agreed then to pay the bills. And I continued paying it until it occurred to me that we didn't have a future, and my contributing towards his future didn't make any sense.
No, but you and your children were living in the house.
So was he.
No, he wasn't living there. He was doing the same thing that he was doing in September, October, November, and December. The fact that you decided to change the rules, because that's what you said. You had agreed with him that you would pay the utility bills while you were there.
That was before he asked for a divorce.
You had said to him, I'll pay the utility bills while I'm here.
No, I don't believe that's what I said.
But that's what you did.
Can I make a comment here?
Sure.
I got the order for him to pay me all the arrears, and he was to pay me that on May 16th. He did not do that. 3 days later, he went and he filed this suit for just about the same amount. Several days after that, he canceled my car insurance. And when we did the settlement agreement, I didn't go after half of the business that I could have, because I was trying to keep it as a semi-civil thing, since there were kids involved and we'd known each other for 30 years.
Ms. Gray, you clearly had an arrangement with him that you were going to take over and pay for the utility bills while you were there, and you just decided in January, because you were going to be moving out in February, the hell with him, let him deal with that when he moves back in, which is really what you said to yourself. Sir, you understand now that you cannot resort to self-help in modifying a judicial order. I'm sure that the judge made that abundantly clear to you.
There is no doubt in my mind, Your Honor, that was inappropriate behavior.
Okay, so you can't do that. I gather, Mrs. Graham, that since you said you've known each other for 30 years, you did have a marriage in between because you have 2 children. It appears to me, at least, that Mr. Graham has been a reasonable and concerned step-parent to your children.
He was until August, yes.
Do your children have a relationship with their father?
He died.
He died.
Before Brian and I got married.
So that what the children know is this person as their parental figure.
Right. And that's not how he is behaving.
Well, there are always bad feelings when there is a divorce. I'm sure that there are hurt feelings on both sides. You know, it doesn't sound like a total cad to me. I mean, he did in fact say to you, you keep the car because you're going to need the car to get the kids. You just said to me that he would come back to the house to drive your son to school.
He was maintaining an illusion that he was living at the house. He had to come back to get his clothes. He had no clothes there.
That doesn't require him taking your son to school.
Like you said, he'd treated him as a son for 12 years.
Well, that's a nice thing. That's a good thing. That says to me that he's not an ogre. You're her daughter?
Yes.
It's just very unfortunate that when a marriage breaks up, there are such bad feelings. You know, I mean, if he was a good person for 12 years, he doesn't all of a sudden become a monster. Just remember this. There are always 2 sides to a story.
May I say something, please?
Sure.
I have requested from my mother that I be shown any documents in the way of letters or court papers that she has in which Brian has sent to her. And you said, yes, he was a wonderful father for 12 years. Someone does not just become an ogre. But it has appeared to me that he has gone from, we'll make this a civil divorce, to I'm out for blood.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 16.
Okay. The first thing is loving parents do not share with their children the particulars of a settlement agreement, and I don't care whether you're 14 or 12 or 6. It's an inappropriate thing to share with a child details of financial arrangements. And right now you no longer even enjoy the legal relationship of stepfather, step-parent with Mr. Graham. That's unfortunate. What about your brother?
My brother at the moment is living with Brian at the house.
So your brother is living with the plaintiff?
Right.
How old is Brian?
My
How
brother
old
is William.
How old is William?
18.
What is William doing?
In fact, he's graduating high school tomorrow, I hope.
He is.
Okay. And you see your son regularly?
Yes.
But you don't visit?
No, I don't visit with Brian by my own choice.
Okay, well, that's your choice. That's unfortunate. In any event, I am entering a judgment for $2,171 in favor of the plaintiff.
Can
That's
I
all.
get you to order him to follow the settlement agreement where he was going to be keeping the car on the insurance and taking the insurance payments out of the spousal support?
I don't understand, Mrs. Graham, why you wouldn't want to have total control over your own money. Now, if what you're saying is that instead of giving you the money, he should deduct it and pay it himself, that seems to me to be foolhardy. Put a period and end it.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do.
Good. That's
He
all.
won't go
Thank
for
you, Your
it.
Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
43-year-old beautician Belinda Macias is suing her ex-husband, 48-year-old electrician Richard Gurton. Belinda says Richard sold their 17-year-old daughter's bedroom furniture. Richard says he did it because their daughter owes for a $400 phone bill.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 18 on the calendar in the matter of Macias versus Gurton. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat. Folks.
Mrs. Macias, how long have you been divorced?
Since August of 1985.
And you have how many children together?
One.
That's this young lady, I assume, right here.
Yes.
Tell me your first name.
Chantel.
How old are you?
17.
Chantel, do you think you've been an easy teenager?
I've had my ups and downs, but I really wasn't a bad teenager, no.
But ups and downs.
Yeah, ups and downs, of course.
This lawsuit is about a time that you were living with your father.
Yes.
You had lived with your father once before when you were younger, and then you lived with your mother, and then you ran away, and you lived with somebody else, and then ultimately you ended up with your father for a while.
Yes.
And that didn't work out,
No, Your Honor.
and you left.
Yes, I did. He was never there because he had to
And
work
you
all
left.
the time. I'm serious.
Your father says that when you left him a $400 long-distance phone bill, and he sold the bedroom furniture to pay for the phone bill, right?
That's correct.
So I have a couple of questions. Who bought the bedroom furniture?
I did, Your Honor.
When?
It was September 3rd of close to 2 years ago, a year and a half ago.
I drove up to Seattle and helped my ex move some things out of storage that she had in storage, and some of the items that were in there was a bedroom suite that did belong to my daughter, and
That was purchased by your former wife.
correct, and I brought it back to Portland and to my house, and I set her up in a bedroom there.
Great. And how long did your daughter live with you?
She moved in last May, and she stayed with me until the 29th of February of this year, Your Honor.
What happened in February?
Well, it was kind of a long road from May to February. I tried to...
Okay, let's keep it a very short road.
Okay.
The short road is things weren't working out.
yeah, there were some frustrations, difficulties, discipline problems.
Okay. Did you ask her to leave, or did she leave on her own?
She left on her own, Your Honor.
Tell me about it.
I came home Tuesday from work, and there was a car parked in my driveway, Idaho license plates on it. I had no idea who owned the car. All I know that it was from Idaho. When I came into the house, I just went to see where my daughter was, and she was sound asleep on her bed downstairs, and there was this other person wandering through my house at that time.
The other person was of the male or female
That was a
persuasion?
female, Your Honor. I don't know her approximate age, but I imagine 17, 18, 19, something like that.
Okay.
At that time, that kind of really agitated me because we'd been going through this. I'd asked my daughter repeatedly not to bring people over unless I had a chance to meet them, and if I approved of them, then it was fine, but she just disregarded that and just did as she pleased. I went upstairs and I found that there was some liquor taken out of my cupboard upstairs. And I confronted my daughter with it, and at that time she said to me, it's not my problem, it's no big deal, it's my problem. And at that point I just got kind of really frustrated, and I told her, I said, Chantel, I think what we need to do here is I'm going to come home tomorrow, I'm going to put you on the bus, send you back up to your mom for a couple of days. I want to kind of sort things out here as what we can do, because things aren't going very good here right now. At that point, when I told her what I was going to do, she just blew up and started ranting and raving and cursing at me. And she left with a friend, or that person that was there. And
okay, so you told her that you were going to send her back to her mom's for a while, but she just left with the friend
that's correct,
in the car from Idaho.
Yes.
Where did you go when you left with your friend from Idaho?
I had went to my boyfriend's house, and I stayed the night.
Boyfriend?
Yeah, my boyfriend, Sean Kelly. And
how long did you stay at his house?
2 nights.
Did anybody know where you were?
His
Did you call your mom?
Yeah, I tried to call her. I did call her.
Try. No.
Actually, I did call her, but I didn't
you
get
speak
to talk to her. No.
So nobody knew where you were. Your mother or your father didn't know where you were at the time?
No.
Okay. So after 2 nights at your boyfriend's house, where did you go?
I went to my mother's house.
Who drove you there?
Bristol.
The girl that you were with?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And when for the first time did you ask your dad for your furniture back?
Right after I moved out. And he told me that I owed him a phone bill. And I told him, yes, I'm sorry. I currently didn't have a job at the time, and I was in the position of getting one. But I told him I would be more than happy to make one. And
make a what?
A payment plan. And that he said he wanted everything in full right now, or, you know, I'm selling the furniture. He called me and said that he had a buyer for the furniture, and that if I didn't have it by Friday, that it was gone. And me and my mother, we drove down there the following weekend and to go get the furniture, and we popped in as a surprise, and he said that he had sold it. So
popped in as a surprise?
Yeah, like, so we didn't let him know we were coming, so he couldn't, like, we caught him off guard, you know. And so he said that he had sold the furniture.
Mr. Gerton, let me tell you what your problems are, sir. Teenagers very often have very expensive phone bills. It's nice if teenagers pay them, but you can't set off her phone bill against furniture that you neither bought nor paid for. Her mother bought the furniture. Now, if you said to me, I sold the furniture was there in my house for my daughter to use when she was living with me, she's no longer living with me, I sold it, I would say you're absolutely right. But you got the furniture from her mother. You can't sell that furniture. And you can't sue your daughter for a phone bill, because she's a minor. I owe a lot of teenagers. $400 for a phone bill is a lot of money. Sometimes I would have had a big smiley on my face if the phone bill was only $400. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Seems to me that the two of you should be working together, even though you're not married anymore, because your daughter seems to be running the show. You understand? You couldn't have thought that your former husband was such a bad guy if you said you try to take care of her for a while, because she's beyond me.
Judge Judy continues. 10-year-old Chantal Gerton says her father, Richard Gerton, won't return her bedroom furniture.
So first you were a villain, then he was a villain. Now you're okay. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's what happens with teenagers, especially teenagers who are the children of divorce. Sometimes they like their mothers, sometimes they like their fathers, but they will always use one against the other. If you allow that to happen, you're being a fool. But you're entitled to the money for your furniture back because you paid for it. Let me see the bills for the furniture. Chantel, are you going to school?
Yeah,
that suggests to me that that's not a quick yes.
I'll be starting in next month.
All right, so you see, the answer is no, you are not going to school. Are you working?
No.
So you're 17 and a half years old, you're neither working or going to school. Where is the boyfriend? How close does he live to you?
He lives with his friend next to me in Everett.
You live with a friend?
Yeah.
Not yet. Yes. Button up your shirt. Nice. If you come to court, don't show me your undershirt. Do you work?
Yes, I work.
For whom?
A roofing company.
Hmm?
A roofing company.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
Well, how much did you pay? $23.93?
Yes, Your Honor.
$23.93. And what is this for? Is this the same agreement?
There's one for the stereo mount, balance owing.
And
the
what's
other
the
for
balance
bedroom.
owing on the stereo?
$1,300 plus tax.
What'd you do with the stereo?
I sold it, Your Honor.
It's $36.93. That's what it comes to. Bedroom set and the stereo. How much did you sell it for?
$450.
It's going to cost you $36.93 to replace it. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's done numerous things in the past where she hasn't been accountable, and my only intent was trying to make her become accountable for some of the things she did.
I really did want to get to know my father and become close with him, but that didn't happen. And I'm hoping someday maybe there could be a chance.
Hey, sweetie.
And now the next case.
All parties on Radford versus Talbot. Step forward, please.
41-year-old Valerie Radford is suing her neighbors, Dwayne Talbot, his wife Terry, and their daughter, 16-year-old Ashley. Valerie says Ashley vandalized her garage with shaving cream.
Are you the daughter?
Yes.
You're the daughter who did the damage?
Yes.
Are you their neighbor?
Yes.
Father?
Yes.
Mother?
Yes.
Who are you?
Insurance broker.
Sit down, please. Shh. What kind of damage did you do to the plaintiff's house?
I put shaving cream on the side of her garage.
Why?
I was retaliating because her son threatened my brother.
What did the side of her garage have to do with that?
Well, I just got it with shaving cream.
Now, what did putting shaving cream on the side of her house, is the garage attached to the house?
Yes.
What did that have to do with this childhood squabble?
Well, I wasn't going to use eggs because eggs damage too much, and so I was just like...
What were you going to do anything for?
Because I was retaliating from what her son said to my brother.
Well, that's pretty stupid.
Yeah.
When did you do that?
It'll be a year in June.
Did she catch you doing it?
Yes.
Did you do it during the day or at night?
Night.
Did you expect to be caught?
No.
So far, you're honest. I give you that. Dumb, but honest.
Yes.
And your lawsuit is to be compensated for the damage that was done.
Yes.
To the side of your house.
Yes.
Do you have photographs of the house?
Yes, I do. And it's not just the garage, it's the stucco. And that's the problem. It can't be removed from the stucco.
Thank you. Is this that line?
Yes.
That's there? Did you try washing it off?
Yes.
When were these pictures taken?
About a week after.
Have you seen these pictures? Would you show them, please, to the defendants? So did you get estimates to paint
Yes,
the
I did. I
stucco?
have 3.
Can I see them, please?
The problem, my house is 10 years old. We moved in the neighborhood about the same year, and the paint can't be rematched. I mean, they brought books to try to match it. That's why they said the house has to be repainted. Because it's 10 years old, I mean, you know, the cracks and the normal wear and tear will have to absorb that, but it's just that we wouldn't be having to paint our house right now if this didn't happen.
Okay. Who do you want me to hear from?
The night that it happened, Valerie's husband came down to the house, told me what had happened. Ashley and I walked down, went immediately to talk to Valerie, and Valerie told us in no uncertain terms that she wanted us to do nothing, that it had already been taken care of. She then said that we should turn it over to our homeowner's insurance because her homeowner's insurance had said that ours should pay for it, which is exactly what I did. Now, the whole time, I have admitted there's been I never challenged the fact of Ashley doing it. This is the size can of shaving cream. This is exactly. We turned it into our insurance agent. The insurance agent, which I have here, Ted, the adjuster went out. There was no damage.
Well, there is damage.
Well,
there is damage.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She and her children have flipped us off. She has used her profanity.
That's ridiculous. I mean, her daughter was 100% wrong. It's also 100% juvenile.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Valerie Radford says neighbor 16-year-old Ashley Talbot vandalized her garage with shaving cream.
You're the agent.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't aware that anybody came to my home.
They didn't have to go into your home to look at it, so
Okay.
he may have gone out. What is your last name, sir?
Talbot.
Well, their last name is Talbot. Are you related to them?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you related?
This is my brother Dwayne.
They do all of their insurance through your company?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you go out to look at the property?
Property was looked at after the claim was turned in August. It was observed. The case was negotiated with the adjuster, with the other party, and per the records that I've got, it was closed on October 6th.
What do you mean it was? I don't understand that. You mean the two adjusters got together from the two insurance companies? Who got together?
The insurance company got together with, I was informed, spoke with the defendant.
With the plaintiff?
Plaintiff, sorry. The case has been closed as of October 6th.
Well, but did you ever get a check from the insurance
and I
company?
was never notified. No one ever spoke with me about it. The only thing I've gotten is being called names when I drive through the neighborhood. And
well, that's ridiculous. You have no proof that your company ever paid out a claim.
No.
Well, then it wasn't settled, because if the adjuster went out and spoke to them and your company closed the file, then it closed the file erroneously because she was never compensated, according to you.
That is correct.
So what are you doing here? Do you have anything to add to this case?
Nothing further.
Perfect. Sit down.
When Valerie talks about calling names, first of all, we very, very, very seldom drive by her home. That's number one.
No, when I drive
Number two is every time she has driven by our house, she and her children have flipped us off. She has used her profanity. Even in public places, she has used her profanity. All that we asked was for this to be over and to leave us alone.
Well, first we have to resolve this issue of the house. I've read your answer, and your answer suggests that this was just some shaving cream and it can be washed off. But I've seen the photographs, and it certainly appears that there is some, and I agree, minor discoloration between where you put the shaving cream and the house. Minor. Unfortunately, to make it right, she will be forced to repaint it and power wash it because of what you did, if she wants it to look the same. So it's going to cost you more then, and I think that you have to take that up with your brother-in-law. I mean, your brother-in-law did not do the right thing if it was closed. That's ridiculous. You have homeowners insurance. Your homeowners insurance should cover that. This is not difficult. The money part isn't difficult. The other part is more difficult. You have children?
yes, I do.
You have boys?
2 boys and a girl.
Is it the boys that are having trouble with her son?
And they're 19 years of age. Mine is.
Well, you all got to get your boys in tow, because your boys are going to move out of the house, hopefully sooner rather than later, and you're going to be left as neighbors.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I mean, her daughter was 100% wrong. There's no question about that, but it's also 100% juvenile, and certainly not a good example for children, for your children, or your children, I don't know who's right or wrong, to see their parents acting in an inappropriate way. You would agree with that, right?
Yes.
You would agree with that, right?
Yes.
So if your boys are behaving badly, don't encourage them by setting a bad example. And in addition, if you're neighbors, you live next door to each other. It's terrible to have to pull into a driveway and feel uncomfortable, to have to walk down the street, to have to drive your car down the street and have your back up all the time. It's ridiculous. Life is too short. Ladies, life is much too short. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,200. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may.
Germany is gearing up to deliver a game share to Ukraine. If it follows through, this weapon has the range and destructive power to tear through Russia's defenses in the annexed Crimean Peninsula, meaning it could be the key to Ukraine achieving something it's wanted since 2014, getting Crimea back. Right now there are lots of ifs and buts over whether this powerful weapon will reach Ukraine, but if it does, which seems increasingly likely now that Germany is undergoing a leadership change, it could spell game over for Russian President Vladimir Putin's ambitions in Crimea. What is that weapon? Germany's Taurus missiles. On April 13, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz suggested that Germany under his stewardship would be willing to conduct a complete about-facing policy and start supplying Taurus missiles to Ukraine's armed forces. He's doing that for several reasons, he claims, including helping Ukraine take a more proactive stance against Russia's aggression, putting it in a position where it can shape events on the Crimean Peninsula. But Merz also wants to deliver these missiles because he believes that outgoing German Chancellor Olaf Scholz made a massive mistake by not doing it years ago. Up until this point, Germany has refused to provide Taurus missiles to Ukraine because Scholz feared that doing so would lead to an escalation of the Ukraine war. He may have had a point a couple of years ago when other Western nations were similarly refusing to provide Ukraine with long-range missiles.